Everyone's like waiting here. Hello everybody, hopefully you can see me now or shortly after. Let's see, am I streaming now? I like never play Overwatch, Small says. Okay. Wait, Ziggbee, small Sandman. Hello, Sandman. Is that Leo? Yes, it is Leo. Leo, is that you? No, yes it is.
Tatum Pancakes just resubscribed for
Thank you, Tatum Pancake, for resubscribing 1 month tier 1 for 25 total months. That's a very long time. That's too long, in fact, I think. You can't hear him? Oh, that's because they're muted. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm sorry, Werewolf Billy. Okay, now you're unmuted, Werewolf Billy. You may speak. Sorry, that sounds so commanding.
Am I speaking?
Yes, now they can hear you. Can you hear Werewolf Billy now? Hopefully.
Awoo!
Awoo! Thank you. Pud get. Wait, what the? How do I read that? Pudge the fish. Sorry, Pudge the fish.
For 10 months.
Thank you for resubscribing.
You are doing well.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Thank you, Noah, for using your Prime and subscribing.
Just resubscribed for 20 months.
Louder, Werewolf Billy. Well, let's see. Werewolf Billy doing a woo.
Okay.
No underscore VT.
Is that a little better?
Subscribed for 15 months.
Is that better? Should I turn Werewolf Billy up a little bit more? Hello, Dragon Keeper. Hello, Small. Can you turn? I can turn him up more. More? Okay. I can easily do that. Because this is the first time we're doing this, and Werewolf Billy is using the PC client. So we're doing audio through, well, we typically try to do audio through Discord now because it's a little bit better. Why does it let me control it? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, now go turn it up.
That
might be too loud. Oops. Right there.
Oh no.
No, you're fine. Do a woos again. Let's see.
A woo.
Louder, Billy.
Woo 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 woo.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn you up more. I'm just clicking. I can't even see the percentage. Do you mind doing another woo, or you can say anything, Werewolf Billy, if you want.
I will do a woos all night long. A woo.
That's a lot better, actually. There you go. That's way better, right? Better? There we go. Hopefully it's not too loud. Sounds good. Thank you. Alex, I almost called you something else, Alex. My brain is like not very good sometimes. Hello, Alex. Gifted what?
Costume Done just gifted 5 subs.
Oh my gosh, Costume, you need to do that. Thank you, Costume, for gifting out 5 subscription. Big flex from the Sugar Bean. Thank you, Costume One. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll give you some stars. There you go. Okay, as you know, Werewolf Billy is here, and Sid is going to join as well, hopefully shortly. He's setting up some cooling fan, hopefully, because it gets hot sometimes in VR chat and stuff, and it is almost summer, I think. We're gonna go to a game place that's like Egyptian theme with puzzles and stuff. I have no idea how long it is. I did a tiny bit of it, and it was a lot of fun and cool things to see. And I was like, I should save this for a Twitch stream. And Werewolf Billy, you're a fan of Egyptian type deities and lore, right?
I am. Yeah, I really like Anubis.
Yes, Anubis is gonna give us a task, I think, which is really cool.
We better not fail. No pressure.
Okay.
No pressure.
Hopefully we won't fail. I don't think we will. With Sid here helping too, and you knowing lore, I think we're pretty good to go. We have a stacked team.
Subscribed for 26 months.
Yeah, we got this. Number one. Number
being
one.
Triple B for Discord, Twitch, and TikTok. Fox Noises and Fox Squeezes also want the community.
Aw,
I
thank
feel
you,
like
Sky.
I've made many new friends. Fox.
Thank you, Sky, for resubscribing tier 1 month for 26 long months. Thank you, Tatum Pancakes, for the cheered 100 bits. And did I miss anything else? Hopefully not. Oh, and just to tell you, if I ever get like, if I just immediately just go quiet for a little bit, it's because I'm listening to text to speech or something, just so you know. Like, what am I doing?
Oh, that's yeah, because I can't see that at all.
Yeah.
I see like a little dot.
Thankfully, though, I think the world that we're going to, it should be, we should all see it equally. So that should be how it works, hopefully. If not, I'm gonna be very sad.
Oh no.
Susie,
No, it'll be fine, though.
Just gifted 1 subs.
Thank you, Susie. Susie Q for let's see here. Where'd you go, Susie Q? Thank you for the gifting out a gifted one community sub. Thank you for being a big community supporter too.
Ziggbee hype.
Let's see. Naz Gulad. Thank you for the cheered 100 bits if I said your name right. Hopefully. You want boops? Costume one? I'll give you boops if you want. I'll give you boops. You want to boop my nose? You want me to boop yours? Boop, 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 boop. You can boop my nose too if you want. Just a couple though. It doesn't help me as much on Twitch as it does on TikTok, but you can boop. Because on TikTok you get like little hearts when people boop you. Boop, 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 boop. Thank you. Thank you, Costume one. Why are you sticking your tongue out, Susie Q? I'm just waiting. I'm gonna try to distract all you for a little bit while we wait for Sib to appear eventually. Can we? I know this is not your ideal form, Billy. Do you mind standing up? Some people might want to see. They didn't say anything, but I want to see it. It's like you're. There you go.
There we go.
Behold. Behold.
Wow. It's me.
I get jealous of people with their big avatars, and I'm always so small. Did you see last? Do you see last stream or two? I did like on TikTok. I changed forms briefly. You see that?
You did? What were you?
I was a Tatum. I was like a little. I don't know. I don't know what they are, but they're called Tatums, I think.
Tatum?
You want me to show you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go over here.
I want to see that.
I'll hide over. I'm hiding in the corner.
Okay, I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna look away.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I just don't want to show the transformation's kind of cursed. See, this is Tatum.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, it's lagging me.
Well, let me...
Oh, I'm gonna have to change.
Whoa!
What? No.
Dude, you're like so bright.
Yeah, it's too bright. I think it's a random inventory gun from somewhere.
He's going.
Oh no, I'm gonna crash.
Ziggbee?
Zib!
Ziggbee, where are you?
I'm over here. I'm over here.
All right, I'm coming.
Well,
I'm here, buddy.
Hello,
I'm
Sib.
here. Woo! Woo! I know it's been a long time. Woo! Okay, calm down.
Look at the.
Come on. Come on. Wow, thank you for those shrimps. Grumpy like it. Soul, Noah, those succulent, shimmering shrimp. Thank you. Sandman and Paige. Tatum and Dragon Keeper. That's Ziggbee. Hey, okay. Whoa. Cut back the shrimp.
Why?
Some of them are stale. Look, okay, you gotta keep a fresh supply. I know it's been a while since I've been on. Costume one, thank you. Taylor two, thank you. And Rose, thank you. And Podge the fish. Okay, Ziggbee.
Yeah, what's up?
What are we doing today?
We're going on an adventure to an Egyptian themed puzzle. You ready to go? You want to just go?
Salute cheered X100. Ziggbee
yeah, sure.
rolling shrimps.
hey,
Ziggbee rolling shrimps.
Oh, yes.
Ziggbee rolling
Here's Werewolf
shrimps,
Billy.
Ziggbee rolling shrimps. Ziggbee rolling
It's
shrimps.
nice to meet
Ziggbee
you.
rolling
For
shrimps.
I know.
Yeah.
Finally. Wow.
Fine.
In the pixel.
How do I find this place though? Wait, I put it on some favorite list and VR chat's a little
This
confusing.
is fake.
What?
Small, look at that. Some of those shrimp are stale. I know it. Okay, they were dried up and chewy. So, Tammy, thank you for those shrimps.
Let's see here. Drop a portal? Where can I put a portal? Right here. I'm going through first. Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
I got this.
Oh,
I got
oh yeah, Whirlpool, you just
I
stand
got
in the
this.
portal, if FYI.
Okay. I think it worked.
Woo, 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 woo. Small says, give me a kiss platonically, just kidding. Small being sassy.
I don't know if they're kidding. That's
Oh, Small.
That's okay. Hey.
Whoa.
Small is sus.
Yeah, Small
You
is
know,
a little bit sus.
I gotta say, no, I better not. Never mind.
Oh my gosh, am I gonna lag? I feel
Ziggbee, you're not gonna lag, are you?
I might. I feel a little bit laggy. Did all you make it?
Oh, you missed your autograph. I missed you too, Small. Oh wait, where am
I'm gonna turn off this
I'm still in the
audio.
void.
If it doesn't work, I'll invite you both. It's like a lot. Oh my gosh, you were like naked briefly. That's fine.
Whoa, Ziggbee. Jeez. Oh my gosh.
I don't like the lighting here. It's like so
okay.
harsh in this room. Let me turn the audio on in this place.
We're gonna have to cut that.
Let's see here.
Oh,
Okay, now I got the world
Ziggy,
going.
this lighting is something. I feel like so 3D.
Yeah.
Axie and Shades just resubscribed for 15 months. 15
Thank you,
months.
Axie and Shades, for
Sparkle
resubscribing.
Love you guys. Hello,
Are
Billy.
you lagging bad?
Have fun,
I think this
everyone.
place might, this area might be laggy. We'll see if the other places are
Thank you,
laggy.
actually, 15 months.
Whoa.
Zigby, did you know?
Yeah.
I'm not one to toot my own horn.
Yeah.
But I've been a subscriber for 27 months.
Whoa. You have the first
So
badge.
take that, okay?
Congrats, I'm gonna cart coffee now.
I'm just kidding. Zigby, what do we do? Let's get started.
Okay, we can get started. Let's see. Wait for all players to be ready before you begin. Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Pushing the button. And what does it say? Be sure that all players are ready. New players will not be able to join. Okay, continue.
Whoa. Zigby, whoa. This is high production value.
Yeah, it is.
What's going on?
It's very high.
Wow. What?
Whoa.
Okay. Wow. That's something.
It's like a real video game.
Yeah.
I'm,
Unbelievable.
I'll make the camera follow, I guess, me. I'm still getting a little bit laggy. Hope you're okay, Billy.
Welcome back.
We're lagging. It's real.
Glorious one.
Oh.
Today I have
And there's
another
dialogue.
story for you.
Sounds sleepy.
Did you just touching stuff?
Hey, whoa,
This
Zigby,
story
come on. I didn't know what it would
starts in a
do.
quiet town in London. You're an assistant to an archaeologist and explorer, Professor Henry Ark. One day, while assisting the professor to clean up his office, you accidentally activated a mysterious relic he's brought home from a trip. The relic
this is
has
maybe
taken you and
perhaps too
the
much
professor
dialogue
to
for
a
me. I've
mysterious
already
Egyptian tomb
Lost the plot.
of an unknown era. Through
No.
danger, through
Anybody has clip
peril,
notes?
the story of this adventure will be told. This is your story.
Whoa!
Usual Sid moment. Hey, it's true.
Beat me up!
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa.
Is that you? Assistant.
Where did you
Where
guys
am I?
go?
Yeah, come on in.
We went in a box.
Billy, you're not in the box. Oh, there you go.
Wait,
Oh, I made it.
where's...
Sorry.
Oh, we gotta go in the door. You wanna open the door, Sib? I don't wanna jump. It's embarrassing. There's a guy
Where's
in
it?
there,
Oh,
so
this
don't
one?
be scared. He's not
Don't worry,
scary.
I got you.
He's actually
I
quite a
got you.
handsome guy. He's kind of dapper.
Oh,
How do I open it? How do I open it?
Wait, can you not open it? Let's see. Isn't that let you grab it?
I don't know how to open it.
Wait, your stars are falling.
I'm clicking it.
Oh. Just ignore that.
Wait,
Enter. Wait.
I did it before. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it goes. Wait,
I
was
was
that me or
starting to
you?
wonder
I don't
who
know.
Decided to ghost me at the last minute. Like the last
Sib too
assistant.
short. Excuse me.
Sorry. Yeah. The
3
room is,
feet
a
is
little
actually
bit
pretty
messy.
tall for a river otter.
Okay. Maybe not a little bit, but that's why you're here today. I need some help sorting out this
He
mess,
hasn't
I
shaved
guess.
in a long time.
Mm-mm.
I'm always away at some dig site halfway across
Doesn't
the
look like he
globe,
washed his
so
hair for a long time either.
I have little chance to take care of the office. Right now, I have to go over some reports about a newly discovered tomb they found in Egypt.
He's supposed to be like
It
an
will
Indiana
most
Jones
likely require
character,
my
I
presence.
think.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
I mostly just need a few
Does
things. to be
Indiana
done in the
Jones not
boxes.
wash his
I'm
hair?
sure you can handle that much.
Well, you know, it's rough. It's rough in Egypt.
Yeah. There's a
Hey,
sand.
whoa, look at these arrows. There's something here.
Oh my gosh, this
Wait.
is so laggy.
A treasure trove of secrets.
Oh, this is sparkling.
I've yet
Ooh.
to scratch the surface of the big picture.
Why is it sparkling?
Last year,
Oh,
we
put
found
you
it
put it in the
middle of
box.
the Atlantic Ocean that looks
Whoa.
like it should have been in one of the
Ziggy,
tombs.
can you move the camera
We
forward
suspect
a
it
little bit
probably
slightly?
was taken
Like
aboard
forward?
One of the merchant ships at
Yeah,
the time.
so it doesn't clip.
Oh, it's
Lost
clipping?
in transit for some
Just a
reason.
little bit. It's a little tiny. Is this guy still talking?
He has much to say. He has
Oh
so
my
many
God.
books. He wants to share all the stuff he learned
He
about
doesn't even look at me. He just talks.
some fan fiction he wrote. I'm just kidding.
Happy belated birthday. Thank you, Strawberry. That's so kind of you to say. Thank you for all the birthday wishes in the Discord. You guys, you're all so sweet.
Here, does anyone have a pocket? Can we steal some of this stuff?
I don't
I
have
don't
any
know if
clothes.
there's any valuables in here.
That's true. We're supposed to help him pack. So these little sparkly things we just throw in the box.
Oh,
What?
okay. That's it. Ziggbee, you can't even throw it.
No, you can't. It doesn't let you throw it. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
I can't move my arm.
It's all right. Sometimes we can't move our arms.
Sometimes you can't, you know.
Yeah. That's a mood. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. You know, that's... Oh no! What happened? Oh my
What
gosh.
was that? Wait, Ziggbee, you have a little arrow above you.
Wait. I'm lagging. Oh
The
no.
stream is going down.
Oh no, what is happening? Am I crashing? Stop crashing. See, I was telling Werewolf Billy that it might be scuff a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely
Okay.
scuff.
You're cursed.
Okay, I think I can move a little. No, I can't. Why is it so bad? Is there a way to turn down VR settings? VR chat settings a little bit?
Oh.
Probably not. That's probably not. Okay, it's fine. As long as too many special effects don't. There's gonna be a lot of special effects, aren't there?
Hey.
What? What's up?
I'm sorry that Ziggbee is making you lag. I would not do that if it was me. So just so you know.
I'm not. Small says I'm staring at Leo's butt. I am not. I'm lagging. That's not fair.
Ziggbee!
What? I'm lagging.
Oh,
I know.
wait.
Oh, there's. Oh, where Billy want to ask you? That's that thing. What's this called? It's called an ink.
It's an onk.
Onk. I was way off.
Onk.
Like the duck, it goes onk onk, right? Kind of like that.
Whoa! Oh my God!
Oh, you touched it.
Did you see that?
Oh, it's spinning in the room.
Ziggbee, what's going on?
I think we died.
Did we?
Oh, am I crashing?
IP.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa!
Whoa. Okay.
All right.
Camera, come back to me. Oh, Billy, do you see that?
Yeah, actually, the drawings on the floor are the depiction of how Egyptians would draw the star. That's kind of cool.
Do you see that though, Werewolf Billy?
Ziggbee, you
Oh
making
my
eye
God.
contact. What do I do?
Whoa! This is awesome! Is this about my car's extended warranty?
Mortals, your fate has brought you here. My brother, Horus, and I, Anubis, have chosen you for this task. The spirits of the tombs are trapped and lost. Free them, and you will be immensely rewarded. Shall you fail, you will join them for eternity. Peril and danger await you. Trust your instincts and move with courage. Do not be afraid. We will watch over you. You may now go.
Ziggbee said,
That was
you hear
really
that? So
cool.
don't be afraid.
I'm very afraid typically.
You're afraid?
I thought that was Werewolf Billy going, oh, my.
Where are we?
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
Gosh, I'm so slow.
We are in Egyptian ruins. But how?
Where's Ziggbee?
Oh, here I was fixing cameras.
I'm not sure what you did, but I'm confident that it is what got us here.
Put me in your backpack.
Well, what can we do? Let's see where this takes us. Let's go.
Let's go! Woo! Very slowly.
Wait.
This is an escort
slowly.
quest. Very slow.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well.
If you're at Egypt, do you normally hear this music? It's beautiful.
Watch your step, guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Ooh.
these are some big steps. Ziggbee, you need me to carry again?
I would like that, yes.
That is-
Thank you.
A huge gate. I've never seen anything quite like this.
To say gate, I heard
I've seen
gate.
bigger. No.
I know this is not in the job description, but you're still my assistant. We'll get through this together. Are you ready?
You can shake his hand if you want. He wants to have a bro moment or something.
Okay, well, I just sneezed in my hand, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sib, can you touch it? Am I the only one that can progress it? Oh
Do I have to hold
no.
it?
I can do it.
That's what I
There
like
you
to
go.
hear.
Oh,
Let's
there
go.
you go.
Let's go!
Go! Let's go! That's that human sounds so straight, and during Pride Month.
Woo, 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 woo. Did you just walk into the darkness?
I do wish I had a torch, but
Yeah, we're light. Wah, 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 wah.
All I see is Ziggbee because he's a white carrot. I just see you.
I'm lost. I'm gonna be honest with. Oh, there's Ziggbee.
We're fading away.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly,
Interesting.
Sandman. Does he not know
Looks
gays
like
walk
it's
super
some
speed?
sort of
That's what I'm
temple.
talking
Power
about.
walk.
Like, what's? Yeah. With much power, okay. I'm a fast walker.
Are you a power walker?
Oh yeah.
Katrina.
Well, who's that, Billy? Do you know who that is?
What?
I don't.
Who's that person up
I
there?
don't know
in
if
the
that's an
throne?
actual person though.
Oh.
I think it's
Might be just a pharaoh.
nameless pharaoh.
This altar looks like it is
Oh.
supposed to hold something. Perhaps from one of those doors.
Well, go get it.
Here, take this radio. I'll
Yeah.
communicate with you through it. I'm gonna set up a little base here.
Are you ordering me around?
Whoa, there we go. All right.
What happened?
We can now
Go ahead,
move
Scout out one of those
at the
gates.
proper speed.
Okay.
All right. Should we go through that dark gate? Billy, just go through the dark
Now,
gate.
Billy. Bill.
I'm
I don't know. This one
sorry.
looks, is that one more friendly?
I was looking for snacks.
I don't know if we're gonna find any snacks here. Maybe some beef jerky.
Oh, beef jerky. That's right.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
look up there? Do you see those, Werewolf Billy?
Whoa.
There. Oh, Anubis.
Yeah, they're huge.
Wow.
They look so cool. Are any of these symbols legit?
Let's see. Yeah, actually. This is cool.
Is this world
See, like,
Quest compatible?
Wait, no, it's PC, I think, only.
Yeah, I don't think it is Quest compatible. Oh, what are we doing? We go here? We go, oh. Whoa.
I'm going through this gate thing.
Ziggy,
I was just waiting to see if Werewolf Billy has any knowledge to drop on us, because Werewolf Billy is the
What does it
expert
say?
here. No, I don't think.
Okay.
Those are hands.
What do you mean on the?
That means reach for.
put your hands up.
Put your hands
and
up.
look and sit.
Reach for the sky.
Yeah.
Did you guys go through it? No. Okay.
Oh,
No.
no.
Don't leave me behind.
Okay.
Don't leave me here.
Okay, we can go through. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
Walk towards the light. Typically don't do that, but... And then it shows me...
Wait, don't do it.
No,
Oh.
do it. No, do it. Just do it. Okay, let's go over here.
Whoa, be
Ziggbee?
careful.
What?
The door seems to have locked after you went in.
What's wrong?
Never mind.
Okay.
Oh no.
Ooh.
The Tomb of
I
Anubis.
feel like you guys can walk much faster than I can.
Oh yeah, why are you going so slow?
Why am I like this?
Why you like that? You might have. I don't know how to toggle walk. Maybe that got toggle.
Yeah, there might be. I'm not sure where that would be either. Big musics. I like it.
Big music.
Looks like the bridge is broken.
Yeah, we turn off Spotify.
Check the two pedestals on both sides. Looks like they both are missing an orb of some sort.
Whee!
What happens if you jump down?
There's an invisible wall.
Ziggbee,
Oh.
did you already tried it?
No, just right now. And then Werewolf Billy had intrusive thoughts.
Oh, you're right.
Stop holding us back! Stop it!
Okay,
Jeez.
okay.
Stay away from the edge, behind the yellow line.
Okay, we're going beyond there.
Okay.
We get to choose. Do we get to choose which way to go now? There's two ways.
Oh.
When I tried this place, I only went the left way. I know it's there. You want to go the left way?
Your left or my left?
You're right.
Billy, when you
My
try
right.
holding
I
shift-
mean,
Oh,
try holding shift when I walk.
yeah. Maybe they'll make it faster. Oh,
Whoa!
there we
Whoa,
go.
slow down! You're going too
Yeah.
fast! Oh my gosh, okay. I'm just kidding.
Go so fast, Billy, you're doing it!
You can do it! You're doing it, Billy! You're doing it!
Oh, music, turn down that music, Ziggbee. That's way too loud. That's too loud music.
Here, I'll turn it down, sorry. Is that a little better? It's got big epics though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You know, and beautiful lighting too.
Yeah, the lighting
I
is
like
really
what they did.
nice.
Whoa. You just throwing the camera all around.
I know, I'm not very good at this, being the camera ferret. See, look at that orb!
Whoa.
That is.
That's we just have to get that and that's it.
I think so. I think we have to get that. Whoa!
Okay.
Ziggbee, we got a first time chatter.
Check the
Miss
room.
Janet
There's
Snakehole.
Miss Janet's here!
Oh, hi, my first stream on Twitch. Hi, Ziggbee and Werewolf Billy.
Hello, Miss Janet.
Hi.
They watch stream on TikTok a lot. Hello, Miss Janet. Thank you for joining on Twitch.
And hey, hi,
This is Sib, my
Miss
husband.
Janet. I'm Sib.
This is
Zigbee's
Werewolf
husband.
Billy, a very
okay.
talented artist, deep diver, lifeguard. Let's see, talented creator of things. Werewolf, and did I forget anything?
Very impressive resume. Ziggbee, not do me. Give me titles.
Yeah. What are
What's my title,
Title.
Ziggbee? What's my title?
A cutie. You're
Yeah.
there. You go. You get cutie.
Cute.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ziggbee. Thank you.
There you go. So there's. Thank you, Costume One, for the subscription. There's a transparent.
Janet Snakehole
Oh my gosh.
subscription.
Oh, thank you for
Costume
giving them a.
gifted tier
Oh,
one
thank
sub to
you.
Miss Janet Snakehole.
Costume One
They have
gave a
given
subscription
204
to
gift subs on the
Janet.
channel.
Thank you, Costume One.
Aw.
Thank you, Cardboard Moose, for the resubscription too.
Cardboard_moose just resubscribed for 21 months. Less than 3, less than 3, less than 3.
Oh, okay. I see my titles now. Birthday boy. That's true.
Birthday
That's true,
boy,
thank you.
yeah, that's
Thank you for
fair.
yesterday. Thank you. Stinky, Tatum, that might be, I think it might be you or possibly Alex. Most likely Alex. Business honor, that's true. Woo! And Sib, aka Big Strinker, is okay. I know what you meant to say, Alex, but you better look. We talked about this. Oh, aka Shrimp Master. I'll take it. Never mind.
Shrimp Master. Sorry, I'm just yelling and getting in the way. So this is.
It's okay.
This is a Ank. Did I say it right yet?
Onk.
Onk.
Is that how you say it, Billy?
Yeah, like a ong.
Onk. Okay. See, we're learning things.
Not that long.
Onk. What does that symbolize?
Symbolizes life or to live.
Oh, okay.
I heard once it was like a spicy kind of live. Does it mean that too? Like make more life?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was making sure.
Yeah, it is.
Fertility?
Fertility? Is it?
What do you mean?
Is it?
Make more life.
Is it fertility too, or no? Just spicy stuff? Do stuff or?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't want to really get into detail. It is supposed to represent two separate things. That yes.
Okay.
But right now it's life, or maybe possibly
To
the spicy
live.
thing. We're not sure, but we will find out in the stream.
Listen,
So-
I'm a curious ferret. Sometimes I want to learn things. Gosh, don't judge me. What?
I might need to cover your eyes, okay?
Okay, cover my eyes.
Just some things you shouldn't
Okay, what
see.
are they saying?
And Alex, whoa. Thank you.
The soul.
Thank you for those shrimps. Dragon, thank you too. Spicy kind of live.
Okay, so it's Onk, and we have to do things and figure it out. What do we do? I'm not gonna tell you the answer.
Well,
I didn't finish this,
I feel
so
like.
I guess I'll bring the camera with me eventually.
Okay, I'm just opening that.
You're just gonna open coffins like?
Oh, is these coffins? I thought this was a treasure chest. Ew. What is that? What is
Whoa! I fell somewhere.
Oh my gosh, you didn't go in the pit, did you?
I found the pit. Sophie.
Oh
my gosh.
both of you fell in the
VB74
pit?
just
Where-
resubscribed for 12 months.
Listen,
That's like
my
he just
12-month
he wanted to
anniversary.
rescue me.
Oh my god. Those are the pits of like souls. The lost souls are down there, it looks like. Something bad is down there. Can I go down there too?
Warning sign.
Oh my god! Ah! Sorry, I didn't mean to yell so loud. Oh my gosh. I heard voices too. I heard voices. They trying to eat
Did
me
you?
or something. I don't know.
Ziggbee,
What?
you're not just gonna ignore Luna Bean, are you?
What Lunar Bean? Wait, where? What happened?
Luna Bean's
Oh, thank
12-month
you.
anniversary?
Thank you for the 12 months, whole
Say
year.
thank you. Go say thank you.
Okay,
Where's the camera? Go to the camera.
I need to
Go-
lock the
go
camera.
look
It's
at
kind of
the-
moving around a lot
Oh,
lately.
okay.
Thank
Okay.
you for resubscribing and being subscribed for 12 months. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm so distracted because there's so many things going on.
And I'm holding it looks like a statue head.
Yes, it looks
I
like.
think it's a statue.
Uh huh. What would you do with that, Sib? It's a
Build a statue.
yeah, like build a bear, but we're building a statue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it fit on that one? You're just gonna open. You just open coffins like so, like it's something you normally do all the time.
Ziggbee, I don't think these are coffins.
Do you
I
want
think
to?
they're treasure
Okay, you want to
chests.
put the camera in there? Do you want to put the camera in there? Let me grab the
No,
camera.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay,
Ziggbee, don't do it.
okay,
Please. Hey, come
I
on,
won't-
Come on. It's treasure chest. Come on. Family friendly.
Oh, I see. Yes, they're treasure chests. My bad. I see.
It's a treasure chest. There's so much gold in there. You wouldn't believe it. So we got this. We got
It's a kitty
we got a
head.
cat head. Kitty head.
Kitty head. Meow meow. Billy, are you opening
like my
chests
meow?
too?
No.
Wait, did you open it?
Maybe.
Let me see which ones.
Maybe.
Which one did you open?
Over here.
Let's see.
This one.
Were there any faces? Statue heads in there?
Faces.
I didn't know. Do I have to look in here? I don't see anything. Oh wait. Yeah. What is this?
Ugh.
Oh, it's a cobra. I think.
Cobra.
Is it? No, this is Kanoom. He's the god of clay. Actually, he's like a clay maker.
Plague. Okay.
Did you say plague or clay? Like you make clay pots?
Clay? No. Like, yeah, clay. Because he made like the first humans out of clay.
Oh, cool, like golems. That's awesome.
I just can't move my hands and arms very well. Could somebody?
Yeah, let's
Or
say.
did it fit? Did that fit?
No, it's saying no, because it would just snap, I think.
Oh, is this where you build it? Oh, do you have to? Okay, I didn't get it the whole time. There, let me see here. No.
Okay.
No.
Does it fit on there? You're going to the other side? Okay, well, let me follow you,
Must be
Sib.
this one. Must be. This head too big.
Wait,
Wait,
is that?
Is this it?
Let me try to. It should just, I think. No, that's not where it goes.
I think that's it.
No, let me try.
not working.
Is it this one? Let's see. No, how about the last one over here? Wait, where does this go actually? For reals?
See, that's what I was telling you.
Let
this
me
whole time.
try some. I don't have to solve the puzzles, do I too? What was that?
Oh my god.
What was that?
Oh,
Oh my
what was
gosh.
that?
Hello?
Oh my god.
What was
Hey,
that?
now, be careful when you open stuff up from now on, huh?
Ugh,
What?
Whoa.
What?
that was weird.
That scared me. What was?
I don't know. I just opened this chest and then somebody said hello and I had to close it real quick.
Oh, it goes here. It snapped on this one.
Thanks.
Sib.
Okay. Does it
This one goes
easily
over.
snap?
Yeah, it easily snaps.
Okay, then I'm gonna just run by the.
You should release it though.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm gonna try to line it up. See.
I got like a,
Oh, yeah.
a bird person. Oh wow, it worked.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think this is right for
Oh,
this
is
one.
the-
No. Maybe
Oh,
this
okay.
one down here.
Oh, maybe let's see. No.
No.
How about this one? This looks like a cat. Oh, yes. It snapped on this one. What is that one?
Oh yeah, it does look like a cat.
Looks like a mouse head? I can't tell what that is.
When I'm holding, this is Kanoom. He's supposed to be like a ram's head,
Oh,
and usually he's sitting down.
this one's
Maybe
sitting
this
down.
one?
Yeah. Are you gonna try to put it on there?
Somebody with proper use of their hands should.
This is a handsome fellow. What? Why are you laughing?
I'm just reading chat, Ziggbee.
It snapped here. It's like a. It's like a. What do you call that? A minx? No. A lynx?
a sphinx.
A sphinx. It's almost like a sphinx.
Oh no, that's a goat, Ziggbee.
Oh. Is this correct, Werewolf Billy? Is this supposed to be like that?
I mean, it might be
Okay.
him in his like original animal form.
Okay. Okay.
Different persona.
Usually he's like anthropomorphic, so
Oh, I see. That's cool. Usually anthropomorphics can sometimes change, especially if you're deities. They can have multiple forms.
that's right.
Oh, which one's that one?
Anubis, do you want to take this one? Because I can't fit things well.
Which one do you think it goes on?
Oh whoa.
It'll be standing out.
Let's see,
Lindsay
that one's
just
taken.
resubscribed for 4 months.
Oh, you found
Finally,
it. So that was quick. You just threw it
Ziggbee
over
is a
here.
bird.
Ziggbee
This one's a
heart hug,
bird
Ziggbee
one.
heart hug.
Aura?
And then this one went here.
Lindsay, thank you for your
Wow.
4 months.
Alicia!
subscription. Hello.
Thank you for
Ziggbee.
resubscribing.
It's Lindsay. Wait, is that? Okay. I don't know. I don't know.
That's Werewolf
but
Billy's
thank you
girlfriend.
for subscribing. I've been away too long.
Hello, Alicia. This is Sib. This is my husband for reals.
Hey, hi. Oh my gosh, so many new people, Ziggbee.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I didn't know how to respond to that. I'm like, yeah. Whoa, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
See, we got
I thought you were gonna.
no redeems.
I think you were gonna break into a song.
No,
You got
No,
scoop it up,
Ziggbee,
do
wait,
bop,
Ziggbee, what's
boop,
going
bop.
on here?
I
What
don't
is-
know.
what is this?
See, Alincia says hi. Yes, nice to see you.
Dragon Keeper
Hi,
23
Lynn.
just resubscribed for 2 months.
You did it!
Surprised that I've been sub so long. Love you guys.
Dragon Keeper, thank you for resubscribing 1 month, tier 1, and being subscribed for 2 months. Surprised I've been sub so long. Why are you surprised? This is awesome content.
Well, okay. Hey, whoa, Ziggbee, come on. Whoa. Thank you, Dragon, for your much appreciated 2 months. Thank you.
Wait, how many more do we have left?
I think that's Rex. Dragon Keeper, I think is Rex, maybe?
Oh, Rex. Rex is a frequent viewer of Werewolf Billy's. Rex also visited my stream too, which is very kind.
Okay, hold on. I got one. Whoa!
Oh,
God.
Whoa. Whose stomach was that?
Ziggbee.
I am planning to maybe get a sandwich after stream. Maybe it sounds pretty yummy.
There we go. Got
Oh.
one right there. How many? I think we got one more.
Let's
This
see.
one?
These ones are all done. So some on the other side that are not completed. That one's
see.
completed. That one's completed. There's one more left.
One missing.
Okay. Do I have to check in these creepy coffins for you? Okay. Let's walk through them like a ghost.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, this one.
Over here, Civ.
Where?
That's
This way?
this one right here is missing.
This one.
Missing a head.
There we go. Is that like a monkey?
Uh-oh, the audio's changing.
Oh. Shh, dramatic moment.
Whoops. What's happening?
Over there. Look at.
Happening.
There. That's the Onk.
I almost thought I was gonna hear Metroid music. Dun, 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 dun. Cause it looks like a power-up.
Yes, I am disappointed. No yeet physics. Not good.
Can we
But whoa, there we go. Oh, I see. Why
Can
it
we
says
keep
yeet
this?
physics.
You can grab it.
Ziggbee,
what?
you don't know if that's the spicy one or not.
I'll take the spicy one. Put it in my
No.
pocket.
First, Ziggbee, we gotta hydrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you're just ignoring all these redeems. Okay. When I was away, is that you just ignore them all?
Can I make a spicy joke that's not really like directly spicy?
Okay. Okay, go ahead. I'll allow
Okay.
it.
Is that an onk in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? It's an onk!
Whoa!
I'm going away.
Hey,
I'm going over here.
it's good. I'm gonna go. Ziggbee, hey, it's good.
I'm gonna drink some water. Do we have a What's up? Are you leaving? Is everyone?
Oh, I pushed it. I'm sorry.
Why'd you push it?
It got too close. Turn the camera
Ah!
around. Oh,
I was drinking
I was not
water.
prepared.
wait, what's going on? What's going on? Where?
Oh no, we're missing everything. Sorry,
Oh, okay,
everybody.
Nothing happened.
No,
The orb is coming.
Oh,
is it coming with us? It's breaking.
Whoa.
Why is it?
No.
Why is it? Oh, it's inside. There was power.
there you go.
I don't think we should touch that
There
though.
you go.
That might be a black hole. Are any of you resistant to black holes?
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna touch it. Oh yes.
Should I?
Whoa. Look how powerful.
Little space.
Watch out, Sid,
Pigeon
too
just
powerful.
resubscribed for
Ziggbee.
21
Not too
months.
powerful.
Oh
Loves
my
it and
gosh!
sip.
You almost
Sorry I
consumed
haven't
me.
been around, but I was busy finishing my degree. I'm done now. And it's my birthday in a couple days. The
Oh, what's
10th.
going on here? I
Sorry
hear lots of
can't
stuff
stay for
being
long,
said.
But lovely to see you as always.
Little Space Pigeon, thank you for resubscribing 1 month tier 1 and being subscribed for 21 months. It says it's your birthday. So let's see, I'm busy
21?
finishing my degree. I'm done now, and it's my birthday in a couple days, the 10th. Sorry, I can't say from. Well, happy birthday and congratulations being
Happy
almost done with
birthday!
school. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, congratulations.
Very good.
It's a big achievement.
Yeah, it's a huge achievement. Good job. Thank you, Sue. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yeet it? Let's try. Yeet! No, let's can't eat it. Yeet!
Eat it, or... Alright, Ziggbee, what is this thing? What do we do with it?
We gotta put it somewhere. I think it symbolizes probably the moon or darkness or something. I'm just guessing though. We're gonna take it back, okay?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
We come bearing gifts. We're almost like a troop that's come.
But we don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't, but it's valuable, I think. Should I go faster? I'm going really slow.
Yeah. There you go. Woo!
It sparkles.
What are those sparkles? Those look familiar.
As a Doritos flying on the screen. Strawberry for the Doritos. Woo, woo, woo. Gosh, this is kind of like a long walk. You know, this is only the first puzzle we did.
I thought we're almost done.
I don't
How
know.
many puzzles?
I have no idea how long this. I'm gonna put this in here. Hey, can you put it in there, Sid?
That's a scrap.
A scarab?
Yeah. I know that from the 1998 movie The Mummy.
Thank you, Tammy Beans,
Tammy!
for the very
thank
generous
you.
direct tip. Thank you, Tammy Beans. Is that working?
They were.
Maybe it goes on here. Oh, it sucked it up.
Whoa.
There, it sucked up there. So that means we gotta probably find one for this one. I bet it's gonna be like that.
Oh. Okay, I see.
Let's go.
It's all coming together.
Wait, where am I going?
Well, where am I going?
It's very dark. Thank you again, Tammy Beans, for the very generous direct tip. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy. It's so kind of you. I was gonna say that equals 4 galaxies, but we're not on TikTok.
Hey, Ziggbee.
What? What's wrong? What?
We did get, and I hate saying it.
Yeah?
But we did get a couple of redeems.
Oh.
One of them is posture check.
Okay, we can do
Can
posture.
you check your posture, please?
But I
They're
got
complaining.
I got like curves.
Look, okay, I'll explain to
Is
you.
this better?
Space Pigeon. I've been over it many
Is that
times.
better?
This curve is natural. This is peak ferret curve right here. Okay.
Is that better?
This is how the posture is meant to be.
I'm sorry, you may not like it, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
peak ferret condition.
Hey, come on, stop shaming.
Yeah, don't
Alright.
don't shame my bodies.
And Ziggbee, we got a boing from
Boing,
Tammy Beans.
boing. There you go.
Hey, 2.
Wow, Billy did one too. Did
Whoa.
2.
All right. We should charge extra for that.
Yes, we should. Boing. Come on, we're lollygagging.
Curves for days. All right, let's get out of. Let's go.
We have a mission to complete.
Let's get this.
Oh my
this
gosh,
orb. Whoa.
that looks really cool. I like that. It's a solar system, I'm guessing. I don't know for sure though. Oh, there's symbols on the walls. There's symbols.
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Sorry,
A lot of doors. There are some symbols above them. That might be important.
I don't think they are. I think they're just kind of nonsense.
No, they're important. The guy said they're important. What is
It's
this?
a red herring, Ziggbee. Oh, hey, wait, there's stuff up there.
Oh, there's a staff. You got to get a staff for. Wait, who is that? Was that someone we saw?
Staff?
Does Anubis typically have a staff though? I don't think. Does not normally.
He does.
He does have a staff.
Most of the deities. Most of the deities do. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I know he has like a scale typically, right? So yeah, in one hand. And he weighs
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah. He really enjoys grabbing your heart, you know?
Yeah, because he needs to weigh it.
All those feelings.
So sweet.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. He's like, the heart, I'll take it. Thank you.
Only for a little bit though. He doesn't keep it, does he?
No, no. Just for like, you know, the purpose of like the scale stuff.
Yeah.
But if your heart is lighter than the feather, then you get to keep it and you get to go on. And if not, then there's like another deity there called Amit that just goes. "Mrr, mrr, mrr, mrr." Yeah.
And gives
Your
How
heart.
furry is he?
She just gets hungry.
Oh my
And she,
god.
okay.
"Mrr, mrr, mrr, mrr."
Hmm.
Is that one a snake? That sounds like something a snake would do.
Amit is made of all the animals that used to terrify ancient Egyptians, like
Oh.
Oh.
Crocodiles. She's crocodile, hippo, and leopard
Whoa.
at the same time. Really interesting.
So we have symbols here. This is like an escape room, it seems like,
Oh.
with numbers.
Hey, we did an Egyptian escape room, Ziggbee.
And we didn't pass, we failed.
Hey, we were close though.
It was fun. It was really fun though. I want to do escape
It
room
was
again
fun.
sometime. You think you and me could just do an escape room? It's more fun with like a lot of people though. We did it with Mama Sib and stuff. It was fun. Mama, I'm gonna tell something about Mama Sib. Can I?
Yeah, of course.
Mama Sib gave us cookies in the mail. You got cookies in the mail from Mama Sib.
The best cookies.
Yes, the best cookies. We both had cookies before we started streaming. Also, Mama
Yeah, we
Sib
did.
gave me a scent plugin that has like Christmas theme.
Whoa, give you?
Yeah, it's me.
Cause it was in my box. so-
No, she texted me and said it was mine.
What? She did?
Yeah, I think so. Well, technically
my
it's both of
gosh.
ours because it'll be plugged in the house, right?
That's true.
It's very Christmassy. I like that. Homemade, yes, homemade, Tammy. Homemade.
Yeah.
She was concerned that the container might be broken too. She gave a cookie jar.
She was concerned that they might have eaten some.
Were they all there? I think you checked that, right?
I think they were all there.
Okay.
I think they were.
You got to be careful
I
with
didn't
shipping
see-
too because they like to break things.
It was packed good.
Yeah, it was packed with lots of not bubble wrap, like air thingies. I didn't ask you actually, Werewolf Billy. How much? You don't. How do I say this? What if this takes too long? I don't know how long this is gonna.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know how long this is gonna take because this looks
There's
complicated.
like a door right here. Should we go? Oh no.
Yeah, I don't think you just walk through the void.
One.
You know, do you have to do anything like in a bit or if you ever have to leave, you can if you want. Or but I don't want to keep you like too long if you have anything or anything.
I live here. This is my home now. So. Yeah.
I'll come visit you. This place is lovely though.
Oh yeah, yeah. Alicia helped me like put some arrangements here. You know,
Ooh.
she's very good at decorating. So.
100%.
it.
I'm serious. It would be cool to live like a theme, like a place like this in your house. If it was like all decorated and stuff. That'd be so cool. That'd be pretty fancy. Maybe have.
Oh yeah, imagine the parties.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be really fun.
Party.
You know what I think would be really fancy? I always tell Sib if we ever like just get rich somehow that it'd be cool to have like statues and stuff. Maybe you can make like Anubis statues. That'd be cool and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. But then you need a big statue of yourself.
No.
Huge.
Maybe a statue. Maybe a statue of a werewolf. I'll do a statue of a werewolf. Be kind of cool.
Woo.
Sip.
Miss Janet, do you need some dazzle stars?
Be careful, Miss Janet. They got glass in them.
Hey.
No.
Hey, whoa. Okay, look at. Okay, Zigbee's might be polluted, but these are fresh dazzle stars. Well, technically pocket stars, but here you go. Hey. There you go.
Wait, my stars are broken. What the?
Yeah, they are. I think. Wait, what? Wow, you can't even see mine.
No, I can. I
Wait,
saw
can you,
them.
Ziggbee?
Yeah, look at.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh my gosh, mine are broken though.
I got scared.
How did they turn off my
scared.
mat? Is there anti-magic auras?
Zigbee.
What?
Hey, come on, it's all right. It's
Do you
okay.
see
Some
any?
stars back. We can't all have a beautiful.
Oh my
stars
gosh. Which one of you
Yeah, it's
deities
okay.
took my magics? Oh my gosh, I'm not even joking. I can't do it at the moment. Everyone protect me, I'm in my weakest form. No, I'm goofing off so much. What are you doing, Billy? It looks cool though. You're kind of creeping around there. I like it.
Yeah.
No.
They love my stars. Thank you for all the wonderful comments on my stars, by the way. Okay, I know you all love them. Here's another round. Whoa!
Oh, Cyrus.
I'm hunting for magic stars.
Oh my! Are you the? You're like the guardian here. Are we allowed to solve the puzzle? You need a fight or something? Oh my goodness! Like a boss fight.
In order to pass, you must give me all the cookies that Mama Sib has sent you.
No, that's too much. We can share one.
The cost is too
The
high.
cost is too great.
The cost is
Yes.
too high.
Okay, we'll leave.
Wait, no! Don't leave me! Don't leave me! It's so dark in here!
Should we go through this door? What does it do?
I'm sorry, I'm goofing off so much. We're not gonna. Okay, so there's numbers associated with these symbols. Maybe those total value. No, those symbols do not match each other,
Yeah,
right?
nobody cares about these. This is a red herring for sure.
You're
But
saying
these are the same symbols. Okay, Ziggbee, I just learned what a red herring is. Okay, so let me say the word sometimes.
Okay.
Alright? Jeez.
those are the symbols. Are they in order too? Same order? Yeah, they are. Oh, I know what we gotta do.
Well, no.
I know what we gotta do. We gotta.
What do we do?
We gotta go.
What?
You don't look like Sid, but I'll talk to you. Okay, Billy. I think we have to go.
Oh, yeah.
We have to go door through door. I think. Right? We're gonna do one door at a time. Each one's a puzzle.
Yeah, let's do
Each
it.
one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Ziggbee, that's got to be like 5 puzzles.
Whee! It'll be fun. Wait, well, only some of the doors are closed. Fascinating. Hello? May I enter? No, clearly not.
No, Ziggbee, you can't go in there.
Oh no.
This one's open though. What is this symbol? It's like a 7 with a tail.
Oh.
Can you see that? People can't see it really, but that's okay. It's on the other door. Oh my gosh!
Whoa. Oops.
Oh my!
Did I die?
Yes. Apparently,
It's a booby trap.
we gotta do a thing.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Ow.
That
Yeah.
took me out.
Whoa.
Wait, where is everybody? Huh?
Oh no!
Are you?
I'm trying.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay, I just.
Oh no!
Okay,
Did you
man.
make it?
I'm in. Gotta look up.
Oh no.
I know
Oh, look up.
Tatum.
Oh, that-
Tatum says I'm poggers. I know they both need to get on my level for reals. I'm just kidding. Just joking.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Tatum.
You can do it, Werewolf Billy. You did it! Woo! Woo!
Woo!
Is there gonna be? Does that mean you?
Ziggbee.
What? What? Where are you?
That means there are custom redeems here.
Wait, custom redeems what?
Not customer. There's redeems.
Yes. What is redeem?
Sometimes I say extra words.
I got a
Where's the
problem.
camera?
It's-
Where do you hide that?
It's over here. I hid it over here.
Behind you.
Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Ziggbee, we got some redeems. Go. Do it. Wait.
Let's see. Boons and blessings from Possum Surex. I like possums. Possums are awesome. Feeling a bit nervous but happy because I made an appointment for gender care. Might need some blessings. Oh, that's wonderful. That's really good news. Oh, my stars came back too. Oh, well, cool.
Whoa.
That's like maybe yes. Here,
That's extra special.
I'll give you many boons and blessings. Here you go. Maybe my magic came back just for this. That's wonderful.
And I know you're nervous, but don't worry.
Yeah.
You did great.
Hey, don't worry. Yeah, I get nervous too when I do.
Was that Rex?
That was Possum Surex. Is that? I'm probably saying the name wrong. There.
Yeah.
That's Rex.
Congratulations, Rex.
Oh yeah. And also
Yeah, here's
custom.
just for a little bit extra luck. Here's a Siblik, which is no longer redeemable.
Whoa.
So it's quite special.
Let's see. There's another thing too, custom Egyptian awoo. I don't Page Mustang.
Thank you for those troops. Oh, Egyptian awoo. Well, how would that be, Ziggy?
Awoo, awoo. No, I don't actually know.
Billy, what would be an Egyptian awoo?
Awoo. Awoo.
I like it. I like it. It's pretty good.
That's pretty
Thank
good.
you.
That's pretty good.
Thank
Let's
you.
hear yours,
Thank
Sib.
Wait, really, mine? Okay. Egyptian. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna steal that, Sib. What?
Hey, whoa! Stealer! Stealer! Get some original content. I'm just kidding.
No, I'd rather not. This takes too much work. Okay, I'm gonna make the camera follow me. Be careful though. There might be more booby traps. I don't know why I said it like that. Wait, is there a dark hole here?
Oh, okay. Yeah, hold on. Ziggbee.
What?
Stay back. All right. I think we're gonna have to jump. Oh.
I volunteer.
Oh,
No, Billy! Oh, Sib, you're down
fine.
there.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're
I
supposed
just-
to
I
jump
fell-
on the blocks right here.
I can't see.
We tried.
Oh, I got it. Oh. Ziggbee, how are you so fast and nimble?
I'm a ferret. I can't see where we're supposed to go here though.
I can't see. I cannot see.
I see
Oh,
something in the
right there.
darkness.
Hold on.
What?
Watch me. Watch me.
Where are you?
Bam.
Oh my gosh, is there a block over there?
Yeah, come on. Ziggbee. Come on. come on.
Okay.
Right there. Ah! No, Ziggbee, no! No!
Oh, we had to go through the booby trap stuff again?
We
Hey, not everyone could be as good as me. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Over here. I'm way over here.
You might have to show us where to go, Sib, because I'm not sure.
What do you mean? You just jump.
Like, this one's obvious here. Then over here.
Okay.
Then you went on that brick.
There's.
Wait.
I don't even know what all those bricks are. I'm just doing the jumps. There's one right below me. Oh, you got it.
Oh my gosh.
There you
I'm
go.
so small
There you
though.
go, Ziggbee. Whew. That was tough. Billy,
I'm
you got
concerned
this.
about Werewolf Billy.
The cam is not
anything.
following you, Ziggbee.
Maybe I should help Werewolf Billy somehow.
No, don't come back here.
I can come back and get you or something.
Did I get it?
Ziggbee, you want to get the camera and point it?
What? Over here?
You want to bring the camera?
Oh. Like this?
Yeah.
I feel bad. This is Werewolf Billy's not didn't use VR chat until very recently, and I think I kind of Wait, can we
Yeah, you know, that's cool.
teleport
Let me see.
Werewolf Billy?
I actually know. You know, this is where my stars come in. I can light the way.
Oh my gosh. This is like Indiana Jones
This
stuff.
is what I was born for. Follow my trail.
They're there, but you need to put them on the far part. They're not reaching.
Yeah. This one?
Let's see. I didn't quite get it. Whoops, I didn't even do that. Camera, come
I
here.
know I fell on the one. Oh, there.
Oh no.
What am I looking at?
Can you see Sib's Dazzle Stars? Dazzle Stars. that's
Whoa, hey, what was that cough for?
That
Can you see my stars light the way, Billy?
Kinda. They're tiny. A little tiny.
Hey, they're good value. Okay?
Burn.
Good value. Bite size. But do not eat them, please.
Am I going down this way?
Yeah, you can. There's
you can jump over.
there's a brick
jump
there.
over. There.
You see me jumping? Probably am I hidden?
Oh yeah.
Careful.
Okay.
Now I can't see.
And then right
Oh,
here,
I see you.
I'm in the center of the brick.
I'm gonna try this.
Da, da. Good luck, Billy. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh.
I'm too big. It made me hit the top.
Wait, is there a top part?
Is there one?
Yeah, I think there.
I hit something.
Oh no, what do we do then? So if you're able to jump across from
Maybe
there,
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
You guys can continue on without me, and I'll wait. You want?
you want to do this? If I feel bad, but yeah, it would probably be annoying to keep forcing Werewolf Billy to jump down in the black pit.
Let's see. I bet it's right here.
Yeah.
So let me see.
Boing,
Um,
boing, boing.
Oh, there's like a sphinx, and whoa, there's so much cool stuff over here.
No, it's just a sphinx in the darkness.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. There's nothing. You're not missing out on anything.
Oh, that was so mean.
Whoa. Okay. Now that's
That's a.
Now I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay. Let's
but
see.
it's not so cool. Ziggbee,
Yeah.
this is creepy.
What is it? Oh my gosh! What is this? What am I looking at? I don't even know.
I don't know, but I don't like it. Hold on.
There's
My
hands.
stars will fight them off.
No, they're not scared of your
No,
stars.
they're not. They're grabbing the stars. That makes them. Uh-oh. All right, hold on.
Sib?
Ew. Ew.
Oh my gosh, what is this cursed place?
Ew.
If they touch you, is it game over?
I don't know. I can't see.
It says grabby hands. Yes.
Very grabby.
Uh,
So rude. Oh man. Ziggbee, stay to the right. You can like jump over a lot.
Okay, I'll try to hug the right wall. And look at the light that's following. Is it just supposed to be creepy, or can I actually be in danger? Oh, I just ran into the spikes.
They'll grab you.
There's spikes on the right side. Werewolf Billy, I applaud your attempt to try to do this again.
My.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Wait, why do you keep saying that?
Ziggbee.
What?
Don't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Don't crush me. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh wait, you made it. I didn't mean to be super surprised about that. I mean, good job. I mean, oh gosh, I'm just making it worse.
You
Oh
made
my.
it?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't
Sorry.
mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, I fell. If you hug the right wall, you can make it, I think, through almost all of it, except at the very end, there is spikes on the wall. You can't touch those. Can't touch this. Dun, dun. Sorry, it's terrible too.
That was awful.
Yeah, basically. How do I be
know
cool like the cooler
This
streamers?
is way too dark.
Yeah. When we first came here, you were complimenting like, the light's so good here.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh gosh.
Wait. Oh, you're right. There's a spike there.
Yeah.
Gosh.
There,
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
this is going to be more challenging than I had originally anticipated. Okay, so I'm going to go on the left side probably. Oh my gosh, there's a big hand there. Oh, the hands can kill.
Yeah, don't. Ziggbee, don't touch the hands.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Maybe you could do the right side almost entirely and then switch sides and use the light to tell where the hands are. Oh, I just ran
You
right
can-
into that one.
You can use the right side all the way to the end, and then they put a spike there to be like, ha 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 ha.
Gotcha. Oh, there's a button header to stop all the traps. No, just kidding.
Oh, oh! Oh, man!
Is this a metaphor for life?
Yes.
Like it's a race, or not a race, I guess just danger. I see you, Billy. Be careful.
Don't see anybody.
Watch out for that spike at the end. Okay, I don't know who put that
We're not
there.
even there yet.
Oh.
Whee! You know, if this was a real expedition, then we would have tools to like.
Oh,
Oh my
man.
gosh, you just fell right down the hole. We would have rope and stuff. That
Yeah, you're right.
But this-
Hey, where is that guy?
true. Okay, I'm gonna hug the right wall, and then figure out.
El Mitten. Hello.
Okay, wait.
First time chatter.
Hand, you
playing
get
the,
away from me.
Oh,
Sorry, not you, Sim. You're fine.
you're telling Mitten to get away?
These creepy hands that are I can't see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a hole here. Wait, what?
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. More like difficult lemon difficult. It's true.
Thank you, Patreon Rat,
Featuring
for
Rat just
resubscribing.
resubscribed for 24 months. I'm so late to the stream.
It's okay, you didn't miss much.
You didn't miss nothing.
We didn't make much progress aside from the basic puzzle at the very beginning. Now when we actually have to do like gaming stuff, it's getting a little hard. This is gonna be a 10-part series, I think, of completing this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Whoa. Okay. All right. I'm good. Sometimes this button doesn't work, Ziggbee. Sometimes, my legs don't work and they don't jump.
That's not good. You kind of need to be very responsive, especially in situations like this. You know, I've never had a gaming mouse
See,
before.
I just walked right off.
Billy, you're looking
Man,
fabulous.
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Hello.
good. How you
Hello.
doing?
What were you saying over here?
Oh, you know.
Just hanging out?
I was watching Sib kind of learning, how to make it over, but then he fell off, so.
You don't need to just say it like that. Jeez.
Can I jump across? No, I can't. I don't want to do that. Boop.
Here, let me show you how it's done. Let me show.
Yes, please.
Okay, wait. This button does not work. My legs do not work.
Are they broken?
Whoa.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Wait, I didn't fall.
You're
Where
too
am I?
low though to get recovered.
Oh no.
I teleport all of you
Sure.
when you probably can't teleport people in this
How do you
situation.
teleport?
You can't.
Can you?
I was thinking like summon people or something. Okay, there's a hole of falling darkness here.
Yes,
right there.
There is a falling darkness. Oh.
Okay. Wait, what was that? Oh, jeez. Oh my God,
You
my
gotta
heart.
jump before you get off the thing.
Oh my
There's no
gosh.
dead air mechanics.
My heart almost broke. There's a
Yeah, I'm trying.
there's a swinging. How are you supposed to get past that for the other people? You see that, everybody, right?
What is
Wait,
it?
they should have gave us that guy didn't even give us like a flashlight.
Ziggbee, stop clipping through walls and stuff.
Oh. What is that? Oh no, we got some Indiana Jones, what was it called? Do I have to like pray and do a flip or something like in Indiana Jones?
Wait, did he do flips?
No,
He didn't
there's
do
this
flips.
one where there's a blade that goes through and it says you gotta be a, what is it? An impotent man or something?
I don't know if it's said that.
Wait. What's the word? The blades? No, the glow. I know. I see the glowy thing, but in Indiana Jones, when he goes into the cave and the Nazis are there, which they're always there in Indiana Jones, and they're like, "Go down the cave and get the booby traps out of the way." And one time he needs to kneel and do a little spoilers, by the way, do a spin, and it says you got to be is it pious? It's not impotent. I don't remember. Humble? I don't know.
Okay.
Omniscient? What? I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't think I can get past this though.
Why not?
It's literally a whole bunch of saw blades.
Yeah, but you can't just get past that.
Okay, I can try, but I might have to turn the what do you call it? The screens off. Wait, how do I?
Screens.
Wait, how does this camera work?
I know why my jump is not working.
Why?
I think I was clicking on my overlay.
Why is the camera not doing what I want it to do? Camera, do that. No, I don't want to do that.
Do the alligator zigzag run.
Oh my gosh, I need to set this
Act
up.
like, Ziggbee, you're being chased by an alligator. You need to do zigzags, I think. Is that it?
Is that, where are you getting this from?
Soul Sorrows.
Zigzags. Is there a blade here? No. Can I sit between these blades? Is that possible?
All right, Ziggbee, I'm here.
Oh my gosh.
Let me do this for you, okay?
Oh, please don't get instantly destroyed.
Hold on. Hey, get back a little bit, okay? It's a little too close for you. Let me.
Can you get that
let
off?
me do math with my otter brain here.
Okay.
Wait, how does this even
I
work?
think they
Let's go
move
right
way
there.
too fast.
Can you just stand right there on the, like right here? Yeah.
That is.
Oh!
Oh my gosh. Oh, they got you?
They got me.
How do we do this? I know the light shows so you can see where they are, but I'm not sure how close they are together. That light is really
Thank you for
annoying.
the F.
What are these spooky hands?
Stay to the right, okay? But at the end there's spikes. Okay, it's a gimmick. They get you. They get you. All right. Oof. Okay. All right.
Big oof.
Big oof. All right.
Thing
let me
keeps
show you.
blinking.
So, Billy, you can wait for the
Yep.
light and then just hug the wall, and you could just run all the way.
Oh, okay.
You have to hug it very close. Don't get to the end. Watch out. You stop at my stars because they put spikes there. Doesn't it? You know, why did they do that?
Okay.
Is there more booby traps, or is that actually up there?
I don't know. Once you take it, Ziggbee.
I will
Wait,
live
oh.
forever. No, just kidding. Wait, why is the camera so scuffed?
Why is it?
Because I'm not smart enough to figure this out. Okay, that's okay. Should I touch it?
Oh, wait, Billy. I have. Oh, there's a pressure plate. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know, I should have gotten a better guide for my tour of the, Egyptian pyramids. Because
just like,
Oh
oh,
my gosh.
oh, you stepped on the pressure plate.
yeah, that small detail.
Yeah. Try to step around those if you can. Also, the tripwires and the arrow shoot things
And the saws on the floor.
and the saws.
I'm gonna go touch this thing. This
Okay.
might.
Ziggbee, you touch it. You touch it.
I'm gonna touch it. Almighty bird. Oh, maybe I'm gonna open this thing. I'm like trying to touch the bird thing. Please don't be something creepy in there. Something creepy is gonna be in here, right? Okay, don't get me. No. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Where'd the music go?
I don't know. Do I have to look in the air quotes treasure chest?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, it just went right up through there. What's in here? There's an orb.
Ziggbee,
What?
you're our only hope.
I got bad news for you all.
Uh-oh.
When I grabbed
What?
the orb, now there's lasers.
Lasers.
What? No.
What?
No.
Don't let go of that orb.
I'm letting go of it right now for a moment. It's fine.
Well, I mean, if you get hit by a laser and you're holding it, do you lose it? I mean,
What do you mean?
don't do it. But I'm just saying.
What do you
just don't
mean
let go of them.
exactly?
You know.
Don't let go of it. Oh my gosh. Okay. What is chat saying? I'm curious. I don't see the windows at the moment. You just made it harder. Yeah, Tammy Beans, I know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry I'm yelling at you.
Demi.
Why did you make it harder, Ziggbee?
I think we're supposed to get this. You know, this is misleading advertisement. The first one was like, oh, open some boxes, make these things together. And now it's like saws and lasers for the second part. That's kind of like,
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
yeah, that's not really fair. Ziggbee, you look so tiny. Thank you, Strawberry. Nerdy Nanny, it happened to me when I did it. Nerdy Nanny, you did this before? Nerdy Nanny, don't tell me spoilers, but is this super long by chance? I'm worried.
Billy, if you can jump to me, you should be safe. The pressure plate is right over here.
I can't.
Right there. Don't jump there.
Actually, let me see if we can move the camera to you and see what you're doing.
Oh, there it is.
I'll drone it forward.
You just have drones now, Ziggbee?
Well, kind of.
Oh no, Billy.
I can't go any farther than.
Wait, I'm still here somewhere.
Wait. Oh, now I stepped on the plate.
Oh, that's not good. Okay, going back
Three
to
more
me.
puzzles?
I'm stuck down here under the arm.
Oh no.
Thought you were getting under the sea.
Oh,
Under the
if
sea!
you- Wait, Ziggbee, we got some insider information here.
What?
Important.
What?
If you die with the orb, it can fall through the topology of the map and get stuck in a wall. It does not respawn. So keep track of it.
Oh my
Do not fall,
gosh!
Ziggbee.
Well, I was gonna say, are you
Thank
serious?
you.
But
Thank you.
you are serious. Why'd the music stop forever? Okay, I'm gonna put this back up. We're gonna do this. We got this.
I'm actually
This'll be
like,
easy.
completely. I have no idea. Oh, there it is.
Wait, the music started?
No.
Okay. So do not hold on to the orb. That's like impossible. So don't
Yeah,
touch
I don't
the.
know if it
Okay, let me watch. Okay, what is that beam doing? Okay, what is the beam doing?
spent 20 minutes looking for it. Uh-oh, Ziggbee, we're gonna spend like 2 hours looking for it.
Okay.
So do not lose it.
Billy's never gonna join us ever again.
Oh. Did Billy leave? Did Billy just
I'm here.
down?
Okay. So I need,
That is
Back, I'm
not
back.
true.
so I need to think. This laser goes back and forth. That's fine. That's not a big deal. Hopefully it doesn't have new behaviors when I move with the orb. I can go to the first point. I'm gonna. Should I touch this? I'm gonna try something. If I touch this thing with that, will that do anything? No. Okay, I think that's fine. Wish this orb would like light up or something.
Okay, Ziggbee, I'm here. I'm with the saws. What's your? Ah! Okay, hold on. Ah!
Don't get.
Oh. Whoa, these lasers! Why are they doing that?
I don't know.
You see that?
Yes.
No!
Wait.
Oh, watch out! They see me.
Wait. How do I know where to go? I don't. What are they doing?
Ziggbee, they're not even hitting me. Just come over
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh god, I can't. I can't see.
Hold on. I can't see.
Okay, we need to keep moving. They're moving. They're moving.
Oh.
Maybe they're not real. I shouldn't say stuff
they're
like
real.
that because Usually that comes with disasters. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
Where's the pressure plate?
Watch out, Ziggbee, watch
What?
out!
What?
There's a pressure plate. There's a pressure plate.
Where is it at?
Watch out. It's in the darkness.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, okay, let me show you where to go, Ziggbee. You just come over here. Okay, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That might have been the pressure plate. I don't know what that was.
Let me see here. I want music like dun 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 dun. Okay. Wait, there is multiple pressure plates. Why is there multiple? Wait. I can go by the pressure plate theoretically, right? Like not touch it, but close to it?
I don't know, Ziggbee. Look at I've been running
Sid.
on the what? Oh, hey, what?
Hi. I've been stuck here glitching.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh.
I can jump
well.
over it without touching it.
Why you been stuck up there?
Light, I need to see light.
I just flailing, I guess. How's it going?
It's good. You know, it's going.
Oh.
In the
I
darkness.
don't know. Is there a way I could move you?
Oh gosh.
This is normal. It's fine.
Is there any?
It's
Oh my
fine.
gosh! Why is it throwing? It threw me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Is Werewolf Billy stuck down there?
Werewolf Billy's stuck by me, like doing like a flying exorcist type thing. It's It's like you do not fall.
Okay, now you say that. You say that when I'm trying. Okay. Does anyone know how to remove a jinx?
Nerdinani cheered X100. Have you tried pondering your orb and pondering it back on again?
There we go.
What about pondering my orb? Question answer, Sib. I've been waiting so long to ask. Are your stars fiberglass? Keep in mind, I am a professional fiberglass expert and can tell. Peachring rat.
Well, it's not 100% fiberglass. I'm sure there's, you know, there's fiberglass in it. There's fiberglass pools. You're swimming in that every summer. It's fine. Got some asbestos, you know.
Asbestos. Oh no, I fell. Good thing this is a test run.
Did you have it?
No.
As a test run.
Yeah, I gotta see a safe path to go out that makes sense.
Sure.
So we don't accidentally lose the orb for eternity. It was hard enough to get past this.
Did you hear that?
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, do you really work with fiberglass? Okay, I don't know. Well, you know, I'm gonna get back to you on that. Good idea on the test run. I would have just, you know. Oh, there's a starter.
Status
that was a
just
good idea.
resubscribed for 23 months. Few it stinks in here. Gotta go.
Thank you, Status, for resubscription 1 month and
Thank
being
you.
subscribed for 23 months, and it does not stink in. Well, it could be stinky in here because
Well,
we're.
it kind of does, but
It has. Yes, this is a tomb, kind of. Would you call this a tomb? I think it's. I don't know.
Yeah.
A temple. I think I could jump across there. Right? That's easy, kind of. So the question is, where do we jump from here?
right there. Oh no.
That's kind of far, isn't it? Or no?
Unknown_muse just resubscribed for 22 months. Hi, Paul.
Oh, oh my gosh. What?
What were you gonna say, Sib? I almost got part
I was
of.
gonna say, oh shoot!
He almost said, "Oh, shiitake mushroom."
Yeah.
Wait. I see something else over here. Let's see. Wait, do I have to go over there?
What if you jump right next to you, Ziggbee?
What do you mean? What?
Right next to you, this one.
This one?
The one right next to your right.
This
No,
this one?
the one next to you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ziggbee.
What? I can see
wait.
just darkness here.
Nerdinani cheered X100.
Oh, there's a ledge there.
We super believe in you, Ziggbee. You can do eat. BTW Happy Pride.
I don't see anything.
So I jumped there, but that thing kind of gets you.
Let me try to get cross
Thank you,
diagonal.
Nerdy, for cheering us on.
No, that's too far.
Okay, that was too far. That was way too far.
Maybe there's maybe I'll look through. I'll look at Billy's perspective. Maybe he's seen something I'm not from that angle. I heard voices when I got defeated.
Me too.
I don't like that the music's not playing anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of just sad.
It's like epic music, high level content, and now it's just like silence.
I think we need to do like the, just pass it to me type thing. You just pass it.
You can't throw it though.
You just pass
I
it. I'll just
see.
reach and grab it.
Can you jump, Billy, from there forward on the other ledge in front of you? No, not that.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's not what I meant. Werewolf Billy, you gotta be careful about those intrusive thoughts. Okay. Is there something over here?
Oh, okay.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, Ziggbee, just. Ziggbee?
I was on some kind of minor edge, but it didn't work. Nanny, you've been in the world so long, the music ran out. What? What do you? No, wait. You're supposed to complete all this before the music runs out?
No, the music stopped for like, it was like, whoa, it's kind of like a dramatic moment. And we were supposed to like get back quickly and then it restarts, but it's been 40 minutes.
I feel like this is the moment where someone would open a door and be like, okay, you ran out of time for your escape room, and they escort us out or something? Is that what's going on?
Again.
Again?
Dang. Let's see, where...
Maybe I made it up to this one from there. Sibis.
So I wonder,
jump up
like,
on
if
this
we could pass it? I don't know.
Oh, you are not wrong entirely? Wait, that sounded really weird the way that came out. I didn't mean it like...
Wait a minute, is that a long jump?
You're right, we can let go. Watch. I'm gonna take it to the middle part, ready?
No,
Woo!
but go ahead.
Can you reach that werewolf Billy without... Let me see if I can get close. I can't see the edge of it.
Oh.
Can you...
Yeah, it's telling me I can grab it. Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking. Now keep it there.
Now we're cooking.
Okay.
How do I get back up, though? Oh my gosh.
Oh, you had it, yeah.
Barely. It was scary. Over here. Can you get to your right, Werewolf Billy? Let go of the orb before you jump. Like, let go of the orb and jump.
Okay.
Can you just pass it to me?
Or you... Oh, yeah, maybe?
Nerdynami cheer Dex 100.
Pressure
After this,
help.
you have 2 or 3 more puzzles to do that don't
We're gonna
require
put it
any
right
parkour. The last bit of the
Right
map
there.
is super easy, so
Alright,
this
little
is the
orb.
hardest part.
I'm gonna read that Nerdy Nanny in just a moment. I'm getting very suspenseful as far as like what's gonna happen with the orb because I'm a little concerned.
Oh, good. We don't have any 3 more puzzles with no parkour.
Okay, listen, you two. What's the plan? Sib, do you want to try to take it, or do you think Werewolf Billy has a
Yeah.
path?
If you could I don't know. I'd be careful there. I'd be careful. I'd be careful.
Okay,
Actually, you could just jump down. I don't know. Ziggbee, you do it. I'm done. I don't know. I don't know.
You're just done. Okay, Werewolf Billy, come try to get closer.
No.
Oh no, I'm too small. Let's see. Maybe I can jump over there. Let's see. Okay.
Can you take it?
Yeah.
Should I let go?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Where am I gonna take it over there?
You want me to see if I can reach it?
Okay.
Whoa.
Now I'm gonna put it here and let it go, and then jump here, and then try to get close. This thing looks like an eyeball with veins, and then go down here. I'll let go first. Guess I fall. Oh, good thing I let go. It's very close to the edge. It's very close to the right place. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh, it is so close.
Oh, I can't let go. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Werewolf Billy, grab it and jump in the hole. No, just kidding.
Leroy.
No, don't Leroy Jenkins it. Okay, let's see. Can I reach this? I see you down there, Sib. Okay.
You got it?
I don't know. Do I want to jump and try it or?
Wait, no, just hand it to me.
Okay. Do you trust me?
I trust you. Well, don't. Oh, I'm about to fall. I'm about to fall.
You got that?
Okay, got it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that was a close one. And they missed it, Ziggbee. The camera's way over there. That was the moment.
The money
I
shot.
was gonna say the same thing, Billy. That's a money shot. Okay, sorry.
All right. Oh.
Let's put the camera
okay, I
right
got it.
here. Oh my gosh, where's the camera? Okay, sorry, I'm getting confused already. And lock there. Go forward. Sorry, I'm coming. I was
You
gonna
knew it, Ziggbee, I believe you.
I was gonna do something bad, but I didn't.
What were you gonna do?
Be like, oh, I fell down the hole.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, I have to not die from this too, actually.
Probably.
Okay, let go of it.
Oh.
Let go of it. Go over here and just run.
Oh no! Whoa, oh my gosh, Ziggbee.
What?
Scare
Whoa.
me. Nice
You
job.
We did it. We did it as a team effort. That was amazing. Good job.
Good job. Now, what
got
does
it.
this do?
We've been here so long, we don't remember what this does anymore.
Yeah.
We're supposed to take it out of this. Yeah, what are we supposed to do with this? Wait. Was it?
Oh, we take it to that big room, right?
So
this
Sib
it?
was right that
What's
stuff is a
these-
red herring?
Yeah, I told you. Come on. Nobody ever believes me.
Was all this stuff a red herring for reals?
Yeah, of course. It's just this.
I believe you, Sib. I just don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means anyway, but you just say it when you do puzzles. This won't work on the bridge, just so you know.
Well, what
what
won't
that
work at the
means.
bridge?
Oh, it's for a puzzle in that room.
No, it's
Ziggbee,
not.
you were wrong. You were
It
wrong.
looks like that thing.
Okay, try it.
It looks like that thing. Oh,
there, right?
curses. It usually just grabbed it.
No.
Oh my gosh, that's the exact same orb.
No. That one's more red. That's orange.
Love_art_life.
Listen, I might be a little
Just
colorblind, okay?
subscribed.
Not really.
Woo! Love our life. Thank you for subscribing with your Prime. Woo! Let's go. Ziggbee, you say it now.
Oh. Lover art life. If you use your prime, let's go.
Let's go.
There we go. Is that pretty good?
Yeah. It's beautiful, Ziggbee.
Thank
I like
then
it.
what do we do with this? I was supposed to read Nerdy Nanny's comment about, oh, you read it too? Something about not all of this is difficult.
Yeah, that was the hard part.
After you have 2 or 3 more puzzles to do that don't require any parkour, the last bit of the map is super easy though, so this is the hardest part. Oh my gosh. So what are we... Can I just grab that up there? I mean...
Maybe leave it out there.
Okay.
Oh. Wait,
What?
there's something here.
Where are you?
I'm
I
just went down the next hallway.
I'm gonna leave the orb there, obviously, yeah. Where are you? Sib, I don't know where you are. Did you go in the door with the arrow pointing in a direction?
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
I did enjoy stealing those heads.
Wait, what?
Yeah. the red herring heads.
Oh,
Fish heads.
what are we supposed to do with this?
So can I pull this?
Okay, let
can
me
I pull
stand back
this?
before you pull that. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, stand back. Let a professional do this, okay?
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Doesn't sound good. Did you pull the clutch?
All right. Well, this is a puzzle.
Wait, what do you
Tammy
mean? Yeah.
Beans just
Maybe it did something
resubscribed for
outside.
16
I'll check.
months. Best
Oh,
16
it
months of my
changed
life.
colors. Now it's a purple.
Hammy beans. Oh, it's blue.
It was red. Now it's a black hole, blue outlined.
Hammy beans. Ziggbee, come on, you gotta.
Oh.
Get up there, do the thing. Ziggbee, where's your camera?
I'm
Ziggbee,
trying to
right
lock the
here,
camera.
right here. Tammy beans.
Tammy Beans, thank you.
Tammy
Tammy,
Beans.
thank you.
Thank you for your thank you
For
thank you
rescribing 1 month
your-
tier 1 for 16 long months. Best 16 months of my life.
Of.
That's
Okay,
wonderful.
good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, that was.
Orb
I didn't know.
I'm
I'm
on
glad
a
that we were able
stick.
to turn it around, Tammy.
Turn what around?
You don't remember the reference?
Yeah, I
You get the
know.
reference?
Tammy said in the past, I don't want to embarrass Tammy. I thought it was funny and I loved that moment. Orb on a stick. Get back to work, boys. Tammy has spoken. Okay. Can you move it back again?
Hold on. There's a door open over here. I see Billy going down. I'm going with Billy. Let me tell you what we see over here.
I touched
it's closing. Billy, you're lost. Bye, Billy.
Wait.
What? No!
Billy. I see you.
Yeah, Billy's gone.
Did I close the door on you? I'm sorry.
Oh, do you pass the orb
Ziggbee.
under possibly or something? Billy, is there anything over there
Maybe.
for the orb?
Hey, what's over here?
Let me check.
Wait, there's a spot for the orb over here.
What's over here mean?
Over here.
Oh, there's another lever over here. Should I?
Oh.
I'm gonna touch it.
Okay.
Yeah, pull it. I'm gonna look out here, see if anything changes.
I hear stuff. The door is opening.
Oh, the lasers.
Wait, there's lasers now?
Yeah, there's lasers.
I feel like I'm missing something. I think basically Werewolf Billy opened the door so now we can go through there regardless, and now there's a next little step with lasers, possibly?
Okay.
Wait, how do you get in that room? Oh, there. They get in that room over here.
Gets shut
Whoa!
down. Like I closed.
It's an eye.
open now.
It's an eye.
Let me go with
Ay,
you.
ay, ay.
Wait, are we supposed to go there?
Oh, no.
I'm cursed again. Help me.
Uh-oh.
What are you...
Uh-oh.
You doing some drifting
Oh,
there?
there we go. Am I still flailing?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's...
Ah!
Oh, that's pretty. So we just...
Is this a bridge?
Is
Did it make a bridge?
this one of those you gotta believe
Yes,
and then you fall in the hole?
It made the little lasers appear.
Sib, you cheated. You just walked on the edge.
What do you mean? It's a bridge. Just walk across.
You walked on the edge over there.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No.
Here, let me walk. Let me walk, because I'm going to pretend I believe. Okay, let's see.
Okay.
I'll show you.
You just walk. It's solid.
I'll show you the power of believing and faith. Ready?
You can do it. I believe you.
Okay. Here we go. Anubis,
Come here, Ziggbee.
protect
Come
me.
here. Come here.
Here we go.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Come here, Ziggbee. Ziggbee. See, I told you. Gosh, nobody ever believes me with these things. So give me a hug. Wow, Ziggbee, you just walk away.
No, it's trying to get the camera to fix. You're going to jump on the bridge, Werewolf Billy? You're...
Yeah, hey, Billy, don't do that. Don't do that, Billy.
I don't know if that's like...
You're
Why?
testing your luck. Okay.
Oh, tell me what to do.
Oh, here it is. The onk. Can I take it?
I guess.
Too
I'm a
late.
little scared.
Okay. There we
Oh,
go.
nothing happened?
Wow.
Can you still...
Hold on, I'm
Does the
on.
bridge still work
What?
if we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, that's a really cool.
Fancy.
There we go. We good.
We good. We good.
Edge, bridge, tomato.
Oh my gosh!
Wait, did it take it?
Oh, you can't take it past the seal. Oh, you gotta put it under the
We
door.
have to pass underneath, Ziggbee. Come on.
You gotta be careful of seals, especially ones like that. It's watching you.
Let me go. I'll go over there.
I feel bad for Werewolf Billy though.
Why? What happened?
Because we're taking so much of your time. You don't. You. I'm worried about you.
What?
We've been here for.
You're in my house. You're in my house.
This is the longest stream we've ever done.
Yeah, well,
No, I don't
we've done longer, but usually not this long. Werewolf Billy, can I have a hug?
Wow, you guys are doing
Of course,
hugs
I
without
can't
me?
move my arm.
Okay, there you go. I'll give
You
you
doing
hugs.
hugs? Where are you guys?
I'll give you hugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sib. Can I give you hugs?
I can't know.
Oh,
Ziggbee, why can't? Why,
I can't.
Ow, my head.
I can touch your arm. There you go. Yeah,
There
I
you
could
go.
fit through that. This is
Okay.
bull. This is nonsense.
Well, it's Ziggbee.
It was nothing. I wasn't saying anything.
Oh.
Oh, can you pass it?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yonk.
No, my ears are too big.
Oh. Yeah, the air is just.
Was that a
stopped you
humble
right there.
brag? Oh, my ears are so big. I can't fit.
Tammy
Furry
Beans
Feed Artist just
made me measure my
for
ears.
12
Remember that
months.
video?
Oh lordy,
Tammy
wish I
Beans
had
was
better
like, "Why are your
connection."
ears so
Smiley
big?"
face.
And I took out a little like tape measure, and I was like, "Ah!"
Well, like Anubis style ears are like really tall by default, right? They're like they're like pointed.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like jackal ears. Yeah.
Yeah, you got like. Did you get like special? You got like a newer one that had more pointed ears or no? I know you changed. You got different eyes.
yeah. I didn't want to disappoint Tammy Beans, so I asked for like extra big ears.
I love you. I love your. What should I call it, like a mask or like a hood? They have different names sometimes.
My face.
Hey,
My face.
Yeah, your face.
Can
What?
you guys can you guys come through the seal possibly? So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. God, it felt very lonely.
Oh, can I
Wow.
have a hug, Sibs?
Sib,
You know what? No, let's do a group hug.
Okay.
It's been too long.
Let me line up the camera.
but
How do you do this? I'm like.
with an
I
on.
can't use my arm, so just
That's
pretend.
okay. Hey, that's okay. That's
Pretend
all right.
that I'm hugging.
That happens to some of us sometimes. Sometimes you can't.
It happens. It happens. Right here
That's right here in the. I put it in a weird place.
in the fire.
Yeah, let me move it out of the fire. It's like in the. Wait, how did I move it in the fire? Let me move it out. I'll make it drone out. Boop 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 boop. There we go.
Oh, okay. There we go. And just to be clear,
This is so.
wait.
This is so scuffed. Okay, come on down. Come on down. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. I can now kind of
There we go.
see.
Let's get this honk in here. Nice group hug with the honk. Billy, don't be shy. Get in here. And everybody else.
Not
I feel like
shy.
I miss you. It's been so long. So, there we go.
There you go. Group
Nice
hug,
hug,
everybody.
nice hug.
That's a big hug for
Mhm.
everybody.
Yay.
It's so
Hug.
long.
Thank you. Oh, jeez, thank you. I'm pretty long.
Yeah. Look at this tall parrot.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's do this. Okay, I think that this is it. This
Yep.
is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
How exciting.
Probably.
Hope the music starts up again.
Me too.
I don't,
Can't get down.
I don't think it will. Where are we going? If you see any seals, don't run through it, okay? With that artifact.
Wait, where's this onk go?
Wait,
Is it over here?
might go over here, or no, that's where the orb
I
goes.
think the orb goes over there.
All right, that makes sense because I see a thing for the orb over there. Is that
Oh, there's buttons over here. Wait, is that buttons?
buttons?
Or possibly things that we're supposed to put there?
Where's
Oh yeah, the code.
well the
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's easy then, right? How many buttons are there? 3, I assume.
5.
Oh, that says. Never mind. Take it back.
So we want the arrow, which is 1.
Maybe it's left to right. Left to right. Keying in. Does that make sense?
Can you push these or anything? I think we put something there. Okay.
Can't press
All right.
them.
I can't highlight them, so no. Maybe we have to put the 2 items where they're supposed to go. So I'll take the orb and put it to the right place, to the other side.
Okay.
I'm not sure where the
Where's this one
where
go?
the Ankh goes. Try to put it where the staff location is. Maybe that is somehow part of it. Nope, it would have like instantly went there. Going up here. Whoa.
Oh, maybe it opens up this, and then there's something, and
Oh gosh, can I not reach that?
Ziggbee, here, let me do it for you. It's okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's alright, look.
Yay, we won a flat screen TV! Woo!
I didn't understand what that guy said.
I don't know if they're actually
Wait,
legitimate.
is this a...
It's a flat screen TV. We won. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. What is that? Hello?
Okay, there's some stuff going on
Okay.
here.
What is that?
Is
Oh my
this-
gosh, that's big. What is? Are you supposed to take that? What do you? Is it say anything on there? Is it just?
No.
Huh.
Cool.
What? Maybe it goes on the
Huh.
other platform. I don't know why.
Also, I mean, we could, if it goes over there, I guess we could just do that.
I don't know if we need to go over there. Well, I mean, we probably did. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what is this supposed to be, like a map or?
No, it looks
scroll?
like you're trying to swipe the credit card.
Approved.
Oh.
Does this go here? No.
Oh wait, here's an Ankh.
You
Ankh.
could try to put it there, but this one's
So-
our Ankh we got is bigger than that Ankh.
Oh. Okay.
Billy, does the size of the Ankh matter?
All Ankhs are equal. Okay.
Okay, thank
good.
you. Thank you. I was just curious about that.
Wait, I think a new one opened, or what was this one? I don't remember this.
One was closed, yeah.
I think. Well, what is this? What
Page
is the blue
Mustang just
fire one?
This is
resubscribed
new.
for 6 months. Best
Oh, okay.
11 months of my life, less than 3.
Oh, Ziggbee, we've been ignoring the subs.
Oh,
I saw. Ziggbee.
yes, hello subs. What's up?
Ziggbee.
What?
You gotta say thank you.
Okay, I'll say thank you. I'll get close and say thank you. Thank you very much too. Paige Mustang for resubscribing 1 month. Tier 2. What are you getting tier 2? They're doing fancy stuff. You've been subscribed for 6 months. Best 11 months of my life. Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Look at your big cute face.
And Certified Artist, happy 12-month anniversary. Zig-
Ooh, look at your whiskers. Sorry, I got distracted by your whiskers and stuff.
Certified Artist. Congratulations on your 12-month streak. 1 year of Ziggbee shenanigans.
No refunds.
No refunds. We do not refund. We may take, a 6-month break. Please don't stop the subscription.
Your house is lovely, Billy, by the way.
Oh, this is.
Oh, thank you. I just vacuumed this morning.
I could tell. It's nice. All right. There's something up here.
Oh no, it's math.
Okay. Wait, we gotta press these in the order.
Of what?
I'll go tell you.
Are you good at math?
Stay here. You're gonna press them.
Let's do some math.
It is.
That's the Big Dipper, maybe. I don't know what that one to the left is. Plus
Little Dipper.
that little no, the one to the left of the Big Dipper.
It's a Little Dipper.
Are you serious?
Oh,
The one to the left
I don't
looks
know,
like
I
a
can't
mess.
see,
I don't.
That's a molecule. That looks like a molecule. Watch out.
Which one?
Well, I'm missing all those shrimps.
Where the
Oh man.
Where does Sib go?
Thank you, Strawberry. Ziggbee, bring me those shrimps. And oh,
And what are the symbols on the
Doritos
door?
for Ziggbee. Paige must have.
Oh, are
picked.
these?
All right, Ziggbee, press the cat.
Press the cat. Sib says, "Can you?" Oh, you don't have. You can't. You can't. Oh gosh, can
You want?
I think I can reach. Let's see. Okay, made a weird sound. Now what?
Grumpy like it. Thank you for those shrimps. Push Anubis.
Anubis is at the top, I think, right there. It made.
Make sure it's not the pointy bird thing. Did you get it?
I think I got Anubis. I don't know what bird thing you're talking about.
Okay, and then press the. What is that? It's like a squiggle with the lion face and
Yeah.
do you
Up
see like a
the top
a
to
squiggle?
the right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, press
Yeah.
it. You got
Yeah.
it? Okay. Let's see, 4. It's the Illuminati eye triangle thing.
Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. They tried to trick me.
sound-
It's now the next one is the other eye.
The eye of was it eye of
Raw or something.
Or Billy, I was getting
Press
confused
the
about
Dorito.
the eye of what is it? There's two eyes, right or left, or
Oh.
something like that. You know the one?
Yeah, if it's facing right, then it would be Rock. If it's facing left, then it's like Horus.
Is that left or right
The eye of
facing?
Horus.
It's left.
If it's your right or left, I think that would be the Eye of Rock.
Okay. I push the eye, Sib.
Oh, okay. I zoned out. Press. Oh no. Okay. It's like a bird with a ball on its head.
A bird with a ball on.
Yep.
Oh,
That's Horus, I think. Or Ra, maybe.
You got it?
yeah.
Ra again.
All right, and then and now it's like a eye with daggers dangling.
Okay.
Oh, the bad seal that we like shut down.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Is that it?
that was just 3 we entered. Last time we entered 4.
Wait, what do you mean you entered 4?
Last time we entered 4.
Oh, I thought we were entering them all.
Wait, what?
Wait, 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh.
What do you mean? Uh-oh.
This might be too smart for me. You have to enter only 4?
No, when we first start, okay, we did the cat, Anubis, the lion head, then we did Illuminati, then we did the eye, then we did the bird with the circle, and then we did the dagger eye. Basically, we went to the
Okay.
left.
And there's another one?
There's 2 more.
Okay, there's a triangle with a circle and a squiggle.
You want to click that one?
Yeah.
All right.
And then the last one is like a pharaoh
Yeah.
looking to the left.
I don't think that's correct. Sib, is there more?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'll
Wait,
tell you something
9?
too. Each time I push it, it makes a sound, but when I push 4, it's like an enter sound of like woo woo. Not woo woo.
Ooh.
It's not. It makes a different sound as if I'm entering a code, basically. And I think so. That must mean there might be.
These had numbers.
Let me push the X key to reset it.
Yeah, Janet, I'm looking at those numbers, but oh wait, what's it?
Are you related to numbers to these astrological signs that are in this room?
Why
What
does this
astrological-
one says
Oh.
+1?
Wait, what?
That one's like +2. What does that mean?
Yeah, that is interesting. Plus, I'll get the camera.
Yeah, Janet, I'm looking at those, but I don't know what the code is.
Like, there's these things here, and then Robot Billy's pointing out the plus sign has 1
Oh, wait.
dot there, but this one has
1,
2.
2, 3.
Oh, so maybe do these 2 first, and then these 2 next. These, I'm
Oh.
assuming these.
Oh, look at the math.
What?
Ugh. What is that?
A woo equals good. What's this equals bad? What's happened? Do you see those symbols somewhere?
Let me point at them.
Wait, where are you, Sib?
I'm watching stream.
Oh, sorry. So there's these ones here. right? Well, I guess you have to wait because it's to be delayed.
Yeah, I see I know the codes. Okay, that one. So that's a. I don't recognize those though. Do you?
I don't know astrological
Yeah.
signs they might be if they're real or not. I'm not sure.
If it's a good escape room, you shouldn't need to know that stuff.
That's true, actually. I'm gonna go
So-
ahead and what do you call this? Brute
Is it
force
the
this.
dots? Is it the stars? 1, 2.
Oh, so if it was the stars.
Oh, 8.
What?
Wait, plus 2.
I'm like yelling all the time. Not a brute force this. Let's see.
No. If it's 8, then the first one is triangle. Wait, well, we don't have the left or right. It's a triangle, circle, squiggly. Does that sound right?
Oh, what?
This-
I have eternity. I can figure out the code
The
eventually.
squares are like answer 1 and answer 2. No, I think the squares mean like, oh, +1. Yeah, small. I think you're right.
What does small say?
Push the X and
Okay, pushing X.
okay, and then let's see the other constellation, the one that has just one square.
All right.
Can you show me?
You need a better perspective, or I can go a little,
Oh, I can't see it yet.
go back farther, maybe.
Hold on. Okay.
Are there a whole bunch of stars there?
Do you think we count the stars? Didn't each character? Yeah, so they do have a number associated with them. So I'm wondering if like we need 4. So I'm wondering if we count the stars. 5, 6, 7. That's too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh my gosh. 14? Is there 1, 9?
Maybe if you add 2 symbols up to 14, what 2 symbols add up to 14? If that's what.
Trying to find that
Let me
out. I see 1.
12, 13, 14. 14 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
There's
7,
no
8, 9, 10,
14.
11,
It
12,
goes up to
13, 14.
13.
They're both 14. That would be 28. Is there 2 symbols that can equal 20? That's such a high number, though. 2, 8?
Let's see the square underneath. Yeah, square underneath. So I'm wondering if that square means 1? Like the first one?
We are like reaching. What's wrong, Nerdy
Yeah.
Nanny? I think Nerdy Nanny has the answer. 8 plus 2 plus 8? How? 4 blocks that make 48? Wait, what? Oh,
Yeah, we don't. I thought we did this a long time ago. We don't do math on strength.
we're literally doing math right now.
Yeah, this is not right.
It's not right.
Maybe 4-digit code and use the symbols to spell out the numbers.
Spell out the numbers?
Okay. Let me. All right. Too long.
Number
Skip
of
this puzzle because
stars
there's nothing
plus
we need
under
in that other
symbol
ring other than-
plus the. Wait, what? Miss Janet, that sounds complicated.
Nerdy, that does not make any sense to me. I'm so confused. Okay. It only goes to 13. But there's 14. How can that be? Ziggbee, maybe we can get a screenshot and also a screenshot of these number things in the Discord, possibly.
Okay. Should I come over there and take so I can see it?
I could take it.
Okay.
We're gonna need. This is a team effort, okay? Yeah. At least there's no parkour. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna keep trying to guess things.
Okay.
This is a valuable lesson, everybody. This is a valuable lesson. See, this is only 9 symbols, and the combinations, I think actually Nerdy Danny gave me the actual total number. Possibilities. That's why you should never gamble, okay? It's very hard to win, and you're more likely to get hit by lightning. See, it's like, it's educational, because now you know not to gamble. I'm gonna keep gambling. Oh, I was gonna ask Billy if you could guess some too, see if you got more lucky than I am.
Just press whatever looks nice.
Yeah, I think it's 4 of them. That's the answer. Thank you, Paige Mustang, for writing notes. Why is, does it look like the thing taking notes is crying? Does it just have big eyes? It's the 2000 combinations of Whoppers BK is advertising. What?
So I uploaded the photo to the
Whopper.
Ziggbee live screenshots. That seemed like the most relevant.
Let's see. Oh, woo-hoo.
Whoa. Okay, so wait, 2, 8, 13. It's the first set of stars plus the second. How did you get 2? How you get 2 from the stars?
Well, you got cool
All right,
pictures in there.
Let's try it. Let's try 2.
All right.
2, which is the Anubis, and then 8, which is, oh my gosh, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's the triangle, circle, squiggly.
Wait, triangles, Illuminati?
No. It's the stack of triangle, circle, and then squiggly.
Okay. Got that one next.
Okay. And then 1 is the cat facing right.
All right.
And then oh my god, 3 is the lion face with the squiggly.
Okay.
Top right.
Oh my gosh! I think it did. It's opening.
It did.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah!
No way.
Oh.
This is amazing.
Yeah!
Woo!
Woo! I did it.
Did it? How did you do it? I have no idea what happened.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I impress myself too. It's just intuition.
So humbled too. I love it.
Great.
Thank you, Saul, and everybody else that probably figured it out before us.
Can I tell you something, Werewolf Billy?
What's up?
That's one of Sib's great qualities. He's very smart.
That is, that is true.
Yeah.
Extremely
brain.
smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was this?
Mhm.
Oh,
But so are
the
you.
map thing goes
No,
here.
not as big brain as Sib is.
Let me go check. I'm gonna go get the thing. Wait, do we need anything else here? Wait, there's more?
Wait.
Oh my gosh.
No, please no. Why is there a whole
3,
bunch of
4, 5.
keypads?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's keypads.
I'm just gonna jump in this orb, see if it destroys me.
Wait, there's a couple of different
Oh,
like
there's
map.
levers.
Wait, why is there this thing? Wait, there's a transparent board here.
That's what I'm saying.
You want to go back and get it?
Oh. No, I'll go get it.
Oh, thank you, Sib. The Werewolf
welcome.
Billy is always very
Important
helpful
note.
too.
From Nerdy. Thank you, Nerdy.
Very.
Wait, we need a lot of them. There's 3 of them.
Note, last
Did you
time I
just push
this
the
puzzle,
button?
it broke.
No.
Werewolf Billy, did you push it?
Maybe.
Oh my,
Maybe.
I heard.
Maybe.
What does that do, I wonder? There's like 2 levers. Should I push the other lever too?
Yeah.
What do you guys? What?
Where is it?
Oh, where are we going? Ziggbee.
What?
Where are we? No.
Am I in a hole of doom?
What happened?
Our platform moved.
Oh, we just moved. Okay.
What? This is getting more.
All right, guys, I'm on my way back. Can't wait to see you.
Okay, let's put this thing back really quick. Oh, it's moving
Can't
farther.
wait for everything to
It's
be
moving
where it
farther.
is.
No,
How do I put?
stop moving it. No.
Oh, I know. We gotta push this other lever. Your lever. That's how we get back.
Okay, quick. There
Is
you go.
it working? It's not pulling anymore.
No.
Don't worry, I'm almost there, guys.
If I push this again?
Uh,
Now take your time. Take your
we're doing
time.
some.
Take my time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Some
take a break.
radiation.
Take your time. You're
just
fine.
need a-
Oh, no.
Take a breather.
Yeah, take a quick breather.
Nothing to
Oh, I'm
see.
back. I'm coming. Here I go.
No.
No, it's okay. It's
No, look
okay.
where we're
It's
Billy.
okay,
Look
dude.
at where we're Billy.
Whoa! Is that moving?
Yeah.
Whoa!
What are you talking about? It's been here the whole time.
Oh my
What are you
god.
talking
okay.
about?
Nothing.
Oh my gosh, it
wrong.
revealed secrets on the piece of paper.
Wait, where is it? Like,
You see the information, Sib?
Yeah, I see dots on it.
We have to line the. Wait, do I have to? Well, I don't.
Oh.
Oh yeah. The dot. That
Does it change? Oh.
moving.
Oh my,
Oh my gosh.
That's really cool. Oh. Oh, I see constellation thing. It's that one. Alright, this one's too hard. You guys figure it out.
Werewolf Billy, is there a chance that like the gods of Egypt came from space, like in Stargate?
Oh, you mean like from outer space, and then they were using the pyramids for like their landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for their UFO. I mean, possibly.
I like that answer. What was that? Thank you, Werewolf Billy, for
This
humoring
one
me.
might be broken. Oh,
I think I heard a raid sound, Sib. I'm a little concerned.
yeah, that's not good.
Show me the raid. Viewer of 2. Thank you for the raid of 2. In a word, wait. In a word, average. Thank you for the raid.
Give me a good view. All right, we gotta get this to Soul.
Wait, is Soul Intel?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you gotta get this?
Screenshot.
Okay.
Don't look at me, by the way. You're not looking, right?
I'll take a little peeks occasionally. Look at that. I'll look at you a little bit.
You're not looking.
Okay, I only peeked a
Oh,
couple
wait, I can't
times.
even get a screenshot.
I only,
Tiniest piece.
yeah. It's a
gosh.
tiny peaks.
Why is it so difficult?
I don't know. So what about Billy? Are you streaming tomorrow or anything, or the weekend?
Tomorrow I might be going to class.
Okay. Ooh. Actually, Alencia might be streaming pretty soon, I think, or unless I missed it. Alencia, are you still here?
Oh,
It's okay if you left, Alencia. I know Alencia said something,
Lynn.
taking a break or something, and then the next gig was not for a while or something.
Oh, resting her voice probably.
Yeah, that's good. You need to rest your voice. Rest your voice! If you were... Wait, what? Salmon says, if you were, cancel those plans. You're going to be here a while.
The vote of confidence.
Don't worry, we got Sib and Solar on the job, possibly. Wait, what? Streaming? Is this in this economy? What do you mean by that, nerdy nanny? What do you mean? What does that mean? Evil Emperor Dave's here. What are you doing, Evil Emperor Dave? Stop being evil. Evil Emperor Dave, I have hope for you that you're not going to be evil forever. You know what I know? I think you're actually probably good and you pretend to be evil to just because maybe. Hello Taylor too. I didn't say hi to very many people. I'm sorry. Nat cha-cha-la-la. Hello. Good views, please. Wait, so was you asking for good quality pictures to help? Happy Pride Month. Thank you, Evil Emperor Dave. Happy Pride Month to you too. Happy Pride Month to you as well. Which I believe that would make you an ally, correct? Because you got married. I think you got married like a couple years ago, right? No, wait, 2 years ago? I think so. I think I read a what do you call it? A Twitter on that. Woo woo. Woo woo. Heck fucking pride.
I heard a tweet.
Okay, here we go. We got this.
Oh.
Soul
Oh my
says
gosh.
they're being nice to us. The numbers match up. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This must be it. This must be the code. Wait, what code?
Wait, what?
All right, never mind. I don't know what I'm
Solar, are
talking
you solving this stuff? Solar. Did Solar solve the last one? I still miss the music. Should I just play my own music?
Spin the orb and find the constellations. Like why? What do you do with them though? So we show them this constellation.
All right.
What do we do with that?
I'll show them. Show the. Oh, I fell in the hole. I'm okay though.
Wait, whoa,
I just took a picture by
spinning.
mistake. Oops. I totally.
Oh, you gotta. Oh, you line it up. Is that it?
I'll go.
Oh wait, no, it was right then. It was right previously.
That's so cool.
Come on, let me. I'm gonna move. If I do 2 more.
Why is there different size? I shouldn't say anything. I want to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Because there's.
Or should we move it so that it's in front of the constellations that you're trying to line up?
Yeah.
I thought it was lined up, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm you know.
The other lever moves it, I think.
What is moving it to?
It moves the entire platform.
Oh.
I think there's 3 positions.
For what? Oh.
Thankfully, that's not a bottomless pit there.
Yeah. Thankfully. Okay.
Wait, was there always little stars inside there?
Yeah, the little blue stars.
No, the white stars.
Oh,
That's.
I think that's what's being like projected.
Oh,
What is it?
it shows.
Wait,
It shows. I'm not gonna lie, this constellation looks a little sus. Just slightly.
It's a sideways house, okay?
Oh yeah, it's like a rocket ship or something.
Ziggbee.
What?
I don't
Nothing.
know.
Nothing.
Well,
Okay, do we have to spin that to like match it?
oh, that'd be cool.
I don't think we've been able to.
Wait, what? Whoa. Oh, it's moving. That's cool.
No.
Do it again. Eureka. Well, it's pretty. That's
it?
pretty. No, it's close. 1 star's off. Wait, what?
Oh.
No, it's not correct. I'm sorry. Some of them line up, but not all of them. You keep just
Yeah,
turning it
um,
forever? I don't know how many combinations.
Nat says match the stars to the Peni constellation. I don't know what that means. Wrong lever. Wait, is that an old one?
That's from
Oh, that's an old one.
Emperor's New Groove.
Oh.
Get the lever, Kronk.
Strawberry
Wrong
Groove,
lever!
tonight. It's nice seeing you.
Nerd
Good
Inami
luck,
cheered
nerd. Oh my
X100.
God.
Good luck, nerds. I gotta go watch my shows like the old man I am. Try not to die.
And Nerdy Nanny, take care. Thank you for the cheered 100s and good luck. Nerdy Nanny says good luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Enjoy your shows.
Yes.
We probably will not.
We'll never get out of
We
here.
probably won't.
We're never getting out of
do-
here.
Yeah, we're stuck. It's gone. It's gone. I've accepted my fate.
Okay,
Okay, if I move this though, like what does moving even do?
Choo choo! Chugga 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 chugga
I
chugga.
see.
It's like a train, kind of almost.
It is. Okay.
Is this the same constellation or a different one? It's a different
It
constellation.
changes when it moves. Oh, oops. I didn't mean to do that.
Do you need to pick the side it's on too or something? Like if you
Maybe it.
oh, it projects the one from the other side onto the piece of paper.
Right.
Okay. Wait, no, wait. This is wait, what? You can change. Maybe find one that matches with this particular location.
That's what.
Oh, but you can move the paper to the 3 slots, right?
Yes. And
So,
that lineup.
so there's, so for this location, one of these constellations has to match, right? So let's move it to a different location at the piece of paper. You know what I mean?
You think?
I'm guessing. I'm just making this
It's
stuff.
only one, right?
There's 3 locations you can place it. So that would change the constellation, but does this match the constellation by spinning the ball? Spin the ball and see if it matches this constellation.
Maybe only one matches?
Yeah, each location possibly. And once you get
Or
one,
just one completely? Because I don't think we were able to get any to match up here.
how many turns do you use so far? Is there like 4 turns?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Keep going those 2, right?
Yep.
Brum, brum. And last one. And then move the paper to the last location and see if it matches with that constellation.
So you're saying like brute force each one?
Not necessarily. I'm saying like maybe each location has one answer. I'm just guessing. So this is 1 position. 2 position. Nope. Go to 3rd position.
Oh,
Oh, that lines up. Now what does that mean?
magical. We did it.
Wait. What does that mean though? That's
The
correct.
constellation is lit. All right, let's see what this does.
This stream is lit.
Yeah.
Does it
is.
lock it in?
No.
So, no, but
we
then
lose it.
getting that correct means what though? What does it give us?
That's it.
Oh, just like it's triggered, like you did a good job.
Well, I don't.
I guess let's find this location one, and then maybe the answers will be. I have no idea.
Maybe.
Wait.
Oh.
No, keep going. So that one lit up, right?
Yeah.
And there's 4 squares below it. Maybe the 4 squares below it means it's one of the answers.
It might be the answer
Everything?
because I haven't seen any of the others match up.
Oh. Wait, nope.
Yeah.
This feels like a very not exciting slot machine.
See. Okay. So
So where do we enter
maybe we
stuff?
should take it back. Morning. I'm getting sleepy too.
Oh, what is that? It's like beautiful.
4.
Like lights come out.
Beautiful lights. But what does it mean?
What does it mean?
All right. 4 means 4.
What would you do with 4? And Sib's
42.
running off.
Answer of every. Yeah.
Sib's just running off down the dark hallways.
No, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh,
Go look around. Oh, wait.
what?
Wait, what? Okay, never mind. I have a mirror and it scared me.
What did you see in the mirror?
Fire. All right.
Fire in the mirror.
Exactly.
Boop, boop, boop. Boing, boing, boing. Actually, can I?
There's only one scroll, right?
Yeah.
We're not missing the other ones to put it around the orb?
Is it like more scrolls?
I didn't see any
Yeah,
others.
like-
Let me see if it opened up the door though.
What door?
Yeah, I have no idea what door. You're right. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Nerdy Nanny, what do we do? I'm just kidding. Nerdy Nanny left.
They're gone.
Staff. I'm gonna play with that thing, I guess. Is that the answer?
What's 4 on the number wall? Maybe helped.
Even if you knew that, where are we putting this information?
It's the eye.
Boing.
Yeah, there's those like weird like button things, but you can't press them.
There's nothing. Okay, let's see if we can play with this some more. So this turns it right, and this moves the location. So this location had no answers, right? I think.
I don't think. Yeah.
Because there's nothing here, but there is a constellation over here facing that wall. Otherwise, not locking the place.
Does it need to be closer? Like all the way down?
No. Is this one super slow? Yeah, it is. That's
We're not
2,
moving the paper.
3, and then 4. I think we did this one, possibly. And then this is not it. I'll go to the very end. No, it doesn't. Doing anything cool?
Not moving, is it?
Bum, 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 no, no, no. Keep doing that sound effect. I'll go to the very end. Wait, this one was, yeah, that one on the left worked. When in doubt, go play with things. That's very true, actually. That's 1. This is 2. This is 3. Come on, big money. Big money.
Come on, big money. Big money, come on.
But
What is it? No, like whammies or something? What is
That's
it?
a really old show. No whammies.
no,
Come on, big money. No whammies. No whammies, because you get whammies after 3 you lose, I think, or something. Put it there. This one is a different one. Okay, this is 1. This would be
I feel like it'll move now. Yeah.
2. This is 3.
All whammies? Excuse me? Have you been
4.
through all the 4 doors in the main room? Yeah, we went through that one. We went through that one.
No.
There's one that's still closed. It looks
It has
like
an
an
onk
M.
on it.
Oh,
Wait.
that's where you put the onk.
Wait, that's
Oh my
that's
God.
it.
We did it.
Wait, what does this star room mean, though?
Guys, I figured it out. You put the onk there.
But what does a star room mean?
Oh, did it go?
No, not yet.
Who cares about the stars? I mean, come on.
I think there's for something. That's 1. This is 2. I'm almost done with this last check, I guess. 3. And then 4, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna take a look in this onk place, see what's up.
I hope
Just take a
I
look.
hope there's cool stuff in there.
Yeah, me too.
So maybe there is just one answer. That one that lit up was 4.
Oh my gosh, it's like pitch black. Oh, never mind.
No.
No. All right, it's the lion with the squiggly. Oh my gosh.
What?
All right, we got blocks. We got lots of blocks. This is the blocks that we put up over there.
Oh, good. We need 4.
Oh, okay. So we get the constellations.
Yeah, we got 1 constellation to trigger.
And what is that one?
I'll go back there and look.
4?
That's
And then 4 is
I know it's just 4 stars basically in a line that's kind of
See,
jig.
Ziggbee, this is why we didn't make it through the escape room. Okay, we gotta be more prepared.
How do we get more prepared?
We gotta learn Egyptian.
Oh,
Let's see. Oh wait. Oh, I posted in live mods. I'm sorry.
that's cool.
That's cool.
This place is cool.
Wait, where did I even?
It's okay. I'm watching you kind of crouched, kind of
Where are they
weird.
supposed to go?
No, don't look.
Oh, there's like
Where did I
all
put
these
that
symbols
there?
on the ground.
Okay. So 4 is the Illuminati eye. That's probably the first one. This one.
What do you mean by first one?
Well, you go place it over there.
Okay. I should really play some music, shouldn't I?
Yeah, play some you know,
Copyright
adventure.
free. Now DMCA free tunes.
All right, this is not snapping to the things
Any of them?
that I thought. Actually,
What?
let's just bring them all. Maybe like some of them will snap. You know what I mean?
I see what you're doing there, Sib.
Well, you got subtitles on your stream? I didn't know that.
I do?
Yeah.
They must be automatic and
Wait. What?
provided if that's the case. Can they even subtitle me? Because I mumble a lot.
It's kind of doing some nonsense, but that's okay. All right.
Where's the block
And then we got
room?
the ski
Oh, there it is. Where's the Minecraft room? Oh, here it is. We found it. It's like some of these symbols are new. Like I don't remember
You
this.
Just start speaking Spanish, Ziggbee.
What?
See if the subtitles keep up with you.
The subtitles say I'm speaking Spanish?
No, see if you speak Spanish, if it'll keep up with you.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis.
You try.
What?
That's good.
I don't even know if I said them all correct.
All right. I don't think it's this cube.
Wee.
All right. Maybe my idea is not going to work. Maybe we can't.
Your ideas are amazing. What are you talking about?
Oh. Just trying to fake it.
Fake it till you.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
I want to make it through this escape room.
Well, they already like
All right.
closed the escape room down and they went home basically.
Yeah. All right. Then none of these are working.
There's more though.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep trying them.
How many symbols are there? There's more. There's like 4 more, I think.
Okay.
These are more symbols I've actually seen though, so that's hopeful.
I saw that the staff is in that room that's behind the bars, right?
Yeah, I think so. I saw like a stick.
Kyle73 just resubscribed for 27 months. Ziggbee blip, Ziggbee blip, Ziggbee blip.
That's a lot of Ziggbee blips. I'll say thank you in just a moment.
Whoa, thank you, Kyle. 27 months! Dang, yep. Since the start.
Thank you, Kyle73 for resubscription. Tier 1 months for 72 long months.
72?
Wait, oh, sorry, wrong. 27. Oh, I feel bad now. Kyle, you the one that tried to get the first badge, or? Oh, sorry, Kyle. Listen, if I ever become partner,
sorry,
we
Kyle.
have a chance to get it. I don't know, but I'm probably never become partner because
Put the lion in the 3rd spot.
I don't know what I'm doing. So I think I'm having a, what do you call it? A midlife crisis. We've been stuck here for so long. I don't know what I'm doing. What are we doing?
I don't even, yeah. Okay, lion in the third one.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Oh, you look so happy where Billy holding that block.
Hey, everybody.
It happens. Yes, it does. Yeah, let me look for music. I'm gonna look for music. We'll listen to. I want to do Egyptian, like cool themed music. I don't think that's authentic Egyptian music though, or Egypt music, but it's typically what they use in like games and stuff. Do I have anything open? No, I don't. Okay. Let's do. I'll do a search for. No, I don't want to do that. I'll do. Let's see here. Small, you're still here? I'm just kidding. I see you and possibly still there, unless it's lying. Yeah. What do you have there? Hashtag Egyptian cotton. Wait, what? What are these ones? Oh, 0 playlists. What's this one?
Is there symbols in all 5 rooms? Wait, there's symbols above the door. Oh. Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying. Let me go check. Oh my gosh, so dark. Oh.
Listen, this is copyright free. I can play this all I want.
Is it good
I'd
music?
be getting in trouble.
No, it's terrible.
I see. All right, smart. I don't remember what was in the difficult room.
Oh, what's on my back? Oh, that's a cord. Oh no, why'd that window
Wait, so
disappear?
lion is 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, that's M. Lion is M. Is this is the Yonk, I'd guess, right, Billy? Right.
Yonk, yes. And the lion, that
Oh,
symbol
okay.
is from the letter L.
Hello everybody, I'm Ziggbee and this is Cribs. Yeah, that's right, I live in an Egyptian temple. Come
Okay,
on.
Ziggbee,
what?
listen, you can't keep playing.
What?
All right?
What?
So above the door, there's like an arrow thing. Which slot is that in?
The farthest left?
Okay, put Anubis there.
Anubis on the table?
Yeah,
Okay.
farthest left. Okay. And then there's like an M.
1 second, let me clear out the table because someone made a mess.
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking for an M.
Yeah.
Let's see, M is where?
Above the door. Above the door.
Oh yeah, there's an M above the door, yes. That's the second symbol.
Put the lion squiggly in the second symbol.
Okay. I can't really lift it, but there you go.
Oh my gosh, we got redeemed. Oh, yeah, we do. Princess Tic Tac. Nice to see you. We got to hydrate. Ziggbee, can I get a hydrate?
Oh, then I must put the other one in the wrong place. Where's the other one?
My throat is parched. So the lion goes
Second place?
in the, yeah, whatever the M is.
And then the middle one is a line, and then the line with a circle hump, which is almost looks like a sunset about to happen.
Okay, let me think. I think that's the Onk. All right.
Let's see. Okay.
Let me see, though. Let me just confirm.
Wait, is it gonna play more music or is that it?
Okay, no. It's the eye with daggers. Let me see what slot that goes in.
I with dagger. Let's see. That would be. Woo. Where is the eye with daggers? I don't think I see it.
I don't.
It's a block.
No,
Oh,
Okay. You don't see it?
I don't. We don't see the eye with daggers.
Hmm.
That's for missing
Where
it
they
or
at?
something weird. Okay, there's another one over here. What's this one? It's a cat. Meow.
Oh, there might be one left. Let me see.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, I got it. There's left back here.
Oh. And
So we need to figure out what was in the difficult room, though.
what do you mean?
It's at the end of the room. Maybe I'll just look at the VOD.
Yeah, I'll take that if you want.
Okay.
So where does the dagger eye go? Is that third place?
It goes with the line and the hump.
Okay.
Okay. many more do we need?
Sometimes you need to something.
Wait, Ziggbee. All right, we gotta get this serious. I'm gonna need some wiggles. Okay? Can we get some wiggles?
Wiggles?
We're just doing
Okay.
math this whole time. Do some wiggles, and we gotta hydrate.
I'll go hydrate now.
Okay. Let me see.
What was that, Sim?
That's my wiggle.
Oh, okay, that's right. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Delicious.
It's not coconut water, sadly. I'm out. But it is water with electrolytes.
It's what plants need.
Okay, it's a scrab. Scrab is the difficult one.
This one?
This one. And what was the number? Like a Z squiggle. Z-tail.
7 with a tail.
Where'd I put it?
This is a scarab right here. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Right here? Oh, that one.
Okay. All right. And then the H.
H.
Let's see. Oh, that would be would that be the constellation? And that was 4?
Yeah.
So it'd be this one. There we go.
Make sure they're all touching the platforms.
Open.
Open. Open. Open. Open.
Okay. Let me take a picture.
It almost feels like a real
Just take my camera.
archaeological like dig, and we're trying to figure out things. Open. Billy, are you doing okay? This has been super long. We usually don't stream this long.
Great. What are you talking about? This is like a cute little table. I could just sit back here and be like, "Would you like any of my wares?"
I would like some of your wares, especially if you have rings that can turn you into a werewolf. That I want.
Khajiit has wares. No,
I want that.
where's? You can't have this one. This one's out of stock. I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, not that one.
Can I do a
Sorry.
rain check?
Sorry. You can't. I know. I feel bad. You look so sad. You're taking it. Yours.
Oh, thank you.
You look so
I think I put it in my pocket.
You can have the kitty in the box. Yeah.
Kitty in a box. The kitty.
Yeah.
The kitty is both alive, and okay, that's physics. Never mind. You ever hear that one thing about the cat in a box and there's a poison in there, and the cat is both alive and unalive at the same time? It's
What?
Ziggbee, is there another
that?
scrab?
There's one with wings.
Oh, can we try that one?
For what place?
Replace the current scrab.
Okay.
Oh,
I can't put it in place very good. Oh my goodness.
where's the?
Sorry, I was jumping with it.
Where is it?
It's right. It's floating in bokeh.
Where'd it go?
Is it not there?
I don't see
Here,
it. Hold
here
on.
you go. Okay, see this one?
No, it disappeared for me.
Oh, I broke it.
Did you break it?
I hope not. I can still see it.
I can't see it.
I put it
Let me see.
below now.
Just you jumping through.
Oh, where'd it go? Oh no, did I really lose it?
Open the star constellation.
Oh, where'd it go? Oh no.
What does that mean?
I think I
open
lost
this-
it for reals.
Wait, what'd you lose?
The scarab with wings?
Oh, wait.
That's,
This
that's
isn't
a
it.
bird.
No, is this not it?
No, there's another one.
Wait, no,
I
it's
was
there.
jumping with it.
That one?
Which one? Which one? Yeah, click it. I
This
can't
one?
see it anymore.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, I can't see it. I see holding nothing.
How did it disappear?
I was jumping inside the altar and trying to place it.
Wait, okay, it's placed. Gotta do the star constellation thing. Maybe set it to the right one.
I'm a little concerned that it doesn't appear. Oh, wait, it is there. It's like
Wait, you see it?
invisible. I can click on it. Ah. What does that mean?
Does that mean something?
Oh, yeah, it's in the table slightly. Okay, I see it. It's not gone. I wish they would have made this table physical so I can jump on it and not go through like a ghost. Billy, can I ask what your plans are today aside from us stealing all your time?
You're not stealing my time.
Yes, I am.
I love this. This is fun.
Okay, good.
No,
Because I'm exhausted.
this is a lot of fun. Are you tired?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, come on. I know there's a room here with coffee somewhere. Gotta go get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm motivated now.
Maybe one of these. What if we eat one of these? Maybe.
Then we can't get it back.
Oh,
I think they're kind of like one of
it
a...
would be so mad.
Yeah, I think it's like one of a kind of situations. Unique.
Okay.
What?
Like it's kind of like the ones with wings. Like maybe it's kind of like Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah, possibly.
Energy.
I mean, if you just nibble on a corner, it's probably fine. Wait, did I hear something? No.
I'm sorry, I did it and then I broke it. Sorry, hold on.
Let me stop the music because I thought I
Oh.
heard something.
Yeah, I was setting the constellation. I accidentally skipped it, so hold on.
I'm gonna listen now for a sound effect. I look for any.
Yeah, all 5 rooms are open.
Mm-hmm. All 5 rooms are open. I heard that sound again.
Yeah, there we go. So I just
happened?
lined up the constellation.
All right. Are you?
Put the scrap back.
It's kind of there. Well, not quite actually. I'm trying to lose it again, basically. Is that the right place? I might need you to do it, Sib.
Okay.
I need some tall otter hands.
I'm here.
Woo!
Oh, okay. It's there. Other scrab.
Other one?
Yeah, let me go see what the scrab is. Wait, which one was the scrab?
There was also this one with. It's. I don't know if this
The first one. Oh, wait.
is that one. The scarab.
Let's see. Let me point it at the camera.
Yep.
Where's the? Oh. Is this it?
What were you asking? First one.
Danger room.
Well, Solar's still there. What are you doing, Solar? Solar's helping us. Woo!
Woo!
No. Oh no, the scrab with the halo. Okay, not this one with these two.
Remember, because
Why'd they
it's
put so
pretty.
many?
So what's
Oh,
happening?
do we not have
This is,
a scrab with the
Strawberry-
halo?
Forest.
I don't know, Strawberry. I think they're solving
There's
it.
this one here that I'm
Oh, there it
holding.
is. Okay, let's see.
Forest or rock.
What?
We did
What?
it! Woo! Thank you, Solar.
Oh my gosh,
Whoa!
Solar!
Awesome,
MVP!
Master.
Is it? You say MVP? That means most valuable player, right? Or character or something? You're
Something like that.
you're VIP.
There we go.
Thank you,
There's the
Solar.
stat.
Jeez.
Thank you, Solar.
the-
We
wow.
did it. This is teamwork. Right? Right. This is teamwork, right?
This is teamwork. Well, I think
This is teamwork.
I think Solar did a lot
This
of
is
the
how
work.
we do it. And Small, you did some too. All right.
That's the orb of the staff. All right.
Should I take it?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
As long as it's not booby trapped. Ooh, it glows.
I think we're good. Hey, okay, so Nerdy Nanny said this would be easy to finish. So I think we're almost there.
Whoa. Whoa. Sorry, I want to yell for some reason.
Whoa!
You want to yell too.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm going to back up and watch this.
Oh! No,
Yeah.
hey, come on. You're very valuable. Please don't. Oh, sorry.
What's happening? I don't know. Something
The
amazing.
music.
We got the music back, everybody. There's a ball from the heavens. It's a sun.
Beautiful. Well,
Can we eat it?
yeah.
What is it?
That's it.
That's the one?
Billy. Go for it. You
Yep.
take it.
Oh my goodness.
Can you hold it? Okay.
Look at
There we go. This is it. This is it. Let's make our Anubis proud.
All right.
I'll follow you, Billy.
Yeah, never mind.
And small.
It's in my face.
I'm not trying to look at Billy's butt, okay? Even though I'm following Billy. No.
Me.
Wait, Ziggbee, where are you pointing
Excuse me.
that?
What?
Yes, me.
Ziggbee?
I'm just following Billy, and I'm small.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Why was the first one like super easy? This one was like super hard.
I know, man. Jeez. Oh, it's laggy.
Yeah.
That's how you know something good's gonna happen. Skin laggy.
I'm gonna stand
Are we
back
putting this in one of those?
Yeah, I think it's right here.
in that pyre.
Okay. Okay. We'll go.
Whoa.
It went.
What's
Oh,
going
it is
on?
lagging bad.
That means something cool's happening.
Is the bridge fixing?
Oh.
Well done.
Yeah.
What is that?
Wow.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What is that?
You don't scare me.
What is it, ghosties?
Something. Something
Where is it
unnatural.
going?
Whoa. Whoa. I think we just walk. We just walk.
No,
Oh,
no.
Ziggbee.
Across.
Should I
No.
go?
The bridge
Oh.
is appearing.
Oh, you were joking.
Yeah, no, yeah, I wasn't joking.
Can we go on
This
there?
reminds me of those movies with the home video camera.
It's not solid yet, though, is it? It's not manifested.
No.
It's not manifested.
Yep. Wait for the pixels.
Oh wow! It's doing it, Ziggbee! It's doing it! Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
it's amazing!
There's ghosts. I don't know what that is. Ghosts everywhere. Whoa.
It's beautiful.
It's repaired almost completely.
Yeah.
This is it.
Whoa.
Whoa! Okay.
Whoa. Walmart's open, everyone. Let's go.
You have
Black Friday! Woo! Well,
Whoa.
okay.
You're welcome.
Anubis? You talking to me?
I didn't do most of the work, though, Anubis. Everyone else did a good job.
It was mostly
I
me,
didn't do
Anubis. Just
What's this?
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful,
It's the
beautiful
scarab.
scraps.
It's beautiful.
Oh, I can't take it. Hold.
You
the
can't?
Seems
cigar-
like it's meant to be placed on the altar. Please bring it back here.
Bring it back.
He
to
just
the
wants to
altar.
steal
Who
it
is this
from
guy,
us. I
anyway?
forgot he even existed. Don't give it to him. It's
He has
ours.
done nothing.
Souls of the end.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't lose it, did I?
Did you? Oh, you got
No,
it.
it's still here.
It's right there.
Got it?
Yeah,
Where is it?
It's in front.
Oh,
Right here.
okay.
Oh my god. I don't want to give it
This is
to
it.
him. He did nothing. He just sat here and slept.
I don't really want to give it to this guy, but oh well.
Oh, yeah, waving. Oh, here.
Hey, I'm right here.
Yeah,
Is it
I'm
sure.
here.
Here.
Do we have to get two of them?
Oh no, that's
No.
Okay. We just need one more of
just
these.
one.
No.
more of these
You
traps.
get the last
Try
one.
the
No.
other one. Try the other door.
You get the last one,
What?
buddy.
Yeah,
Where-
what did this guy even do?
Where have you been?
Yeah,
Where have you been?
unbelievable. Was there a scrab in
This
the
is
other
not
door?
teamwork.
You know, buddy, people
Mhm.
sometimes disappear in Egypt. You know that?
Oh my god.
Was that a threat? I'm
Yeah.
scared.
That was
It wasn't a threat. I was
Alright.
just sharing information. Okay.
Okay.
So did we miss a scrab? No, don't go. I don't think it's the white. I think that's outside, right?
No, this is a new door right here.
Okay, let's try it.
Oh my gosh.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Nerdy Granny said it was easy.
Nerdy nanny.
Nerdy Nan. Nerdy Granny.
Nerdy granny.
Hopefully, Nerdy Nanny will not watch the whole video, maybe. So it's fine, maybe.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Where are we now? What?
I don't know. This looks really cool.
What's on the edge? Oh, a pit of endless falling. Nice. How do you get those?
Hmm. Just dig for a long time.
I didn't know when to stop. You know, you have to keep going forever. Oh, that's cool. Whoa.
Automatic sensors.
Look at those birds.
Yeah.
They're ripped.
Whoa.
Whoa. That's really cool
Yeah,
looking.
this is sick.
Whoa. That's pretty.
This is so dark.
Is this where Nubis lives? Well, probably
These steps are like
brutal.
steep.
Oh, it's right here.
No, it's just, you just grab it. No.
Okay, get ready. There's probably gonna be. We're gonna have to run.
Wait,
from, like, a
before you do,
stone.
you know what? There's the Earth to the left, and there's the moon to the right, actually.
Oh.
That's cool.
Grab and run. Grab and run.
Okay, ready?
Oh, you have to run for real?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. But I'm running.
Okay, take it. I can't take it. Hold on. I can't. Hold on.
Can't take it for real?
I can't. I can't.
Great bird, I will answer your
Maybe we-
riddles. No, I don't know if there's riddles. Or...
Can,
Ziggbee, we all need to touch it, maybe.
Oh.
Come over here,
Yeah.
all of us. Touch it, I don't know.
Hey, is it...
what was
oh,
this thing?
oh,
Oh, that. Never...
Yeah!
we
There
run?
it goes. Wait.
What's... Bird, what's...
Ah! Okay, goodbye.
Oh, whoa!
What is that? What's the light? It's getting closer.
Okay, that's enough slices.
Oh, the Earth and the moon are rising.
Oh no! I did it
I don't-
again.
Is it gonna shoot a
Oh,
laser?
man.
Is a laser coming?
Wait. What is...
Whoa.
Ziggbee, I don't understand what they said.
Wait, stand behind me, I got this. I got the snack. So good.
Oh!
What is that? Is this Final Fantasy? Oh, wait.
Alright, this is really cool.
Whoa.
Really neat.
Personally, I prefer Anubis, but I mean,
Boris is pretty cool, though.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
So do we just look, or
Can we have the scarab?
My
Yeah.
child, beyond the gate, a treacherous road ahead. Become lost, and you shall be imprisoned, trapped for eternity, never to be free again. But worry not, my child. Under my wings, I shall guide you. Through the crypt of the lost, you will pass. Through the sands of time, you will sail.
Oh,
But be wary. An ancient beast seeks to devour. A guardian of my domain it once was, cursed by the prison of time, forever hungry. Your vessel will be provided. Embark once you are ready. Do not be afraid. We will watch over you.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm gonna do more puzzles for the Egyptian gods.
But we're kind of already on a quest for Anubis.
Yeah. Yeah.
My quest
over
log is full.
Oh,
what is that?
Look at this.
What is that?
Warning: intense motion. Motion sickness may occur. That's what I'm talking about.
What do you mean that's what it's talking?
Let's.
You may choose to wait here and continue after board ship. Warning: this experience involves flashing lights, fast motion, and intense visual effects. This is a synced experience. When the group icon is present, make sure all players are ready to continue. Only the master player can start the key events.
You
All right.
You ready?
So, no, Ziggbee, we gotta get. Hey, look at. I hear you. Okay, we need some grunty clicks. Grunty kicks. Okay. And also we need. Yeah, this might take another 3 hours. Ziggbee, kick something.
Okay. No disrespect. I'm kicking over here.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, warning. If you have a pre-existing condition or something, do not ride this, okay?
I am lagging.
You wanna? Should we board?
Yeah, I have to click it though, I think. You ready?
Yes.
Billy, you ready?
I'm so ready.
This is so cool.
We walk on this ship?
Hey, Strawberry, you think I'm nervous?
I'm afraid I'm gonna fall.
Really? Is this gonna be long? Oh, do I click it? Oh, sorry.
Click what?
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you sit down?
Please stand clear of the doors.
Oh, you ready?
Woo!
Let me land the camera a little bit
Yeah,
better.
Let me see.
This is exciting and scary at the same time.
Ziggbee, that's not a seat. What are you doing?
Oh, try to land the camera.
Ziggbee.
We're gonna be going through space at the speed of, I don't know how speed we're going at, but it'll probably be very fast. Wait, can you?
Spaceship, exactly.
I'm gonna sit down here. Okay. Did I look cursed sitting here? Yeah, I do. Okay, great.
A little bit, yeah.
Hold, please. Oh my,
Fine.
my thing is locking up.
Maybe I could.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Maybe give me a second. Maybe if I move it.
Wait. Oh, can I not even get up now?
Are we doomed?
No, we can't.
Okay.
Okay, put that there. Maybe I'll lower this size to smaller. Maybe my computer can't. Okay, wait. Oh, almost had it. What's going on here? Sorry, just give me a little bit of time and a prayer.
Is this a bad time to say that I get motion sickness
Yes.
on the water,
Yes, it is.
on the boat? Where are the baggies? Hi, Sib.
Like the
Hey.
like the throw up bags.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We'll give this a try. I think I got out of the
Let's do it.
lag.
Wait, where's the camera? Oh, okay. All right,
Oh,
I am
here we
so
go.
ready for this. And I'm not
Oh,
nervous.
the camera's going away. Camera, camera.
Uh-oh.
Camera, come back.
Goodbye.
Oh, no.
Camera.
Oh, no, goodbye.
Oh, no. We're leaving the camera behind.
Goodbye.
I can't click the thing. I'm too laggy. Come on, come on. Why isn't that clicking?
Bye.
Follow me.
Whoa,
Oh, no.
Ziggbee warp
Hey,
speed!
Oh my gosh, I can't get it up.
Whoa.
Ludicrous speed, go!
Respawn your camera. Maybe.
Okay. Oh my gosh, everything is so laggy. We're gonna. Okay.
Oh, all right. I'm in pure blackness now.
Here we go. I think.
All right, this is where we end stream with us selling off into space.
Perfect.
Why can't I get the
Whoa.
anchor thing to pop up? Oh,
Wait, like,
this is spooky.
Okay, I'm scared.
yeah.
Oh, I'm scared.
Let's see. Can I do this?
Did you guys not pick up a weapon?
Wait, what do you mean a weapon? I didn't see any weapons.
You didn't
What?
pick up the cannon? Oh.
A what?
No, I'm just kidding.
Man.
Oh my gosh, I don't have access to my camera. Is that okay?
Is this too laggy?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not letting me push the buttons.
Oh.
You are so cursed, Ziggbee. Your arms are everywhere.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What if I stand up? Will I fly off the boat?
Ziggbee, maybe it'd be
Oh,
best if
no.
you just disable the camera so at least
Be
they see
wary,
first
my
person.
child.
Alright.
The trapped ones
idea.
do not obey my domain. Their souls are wanted by the hunger of the lost.
Okay. Enjoy Ziggbee vision. Zigbee perspective. We strapped a little GoPro to his head, so
Oh my gosh,
there's
that's
some
a big
skeletons.
skeleton. Wait, humans aren't that big though. What's that? Look up there. What is that?
Oh. Ooh. Oh god. Don't look up. Don't look up.
What are those things?
uh-oh.
I can't see them, they're in darkness.
They look like I don't know, like little lost souls or something.
Oh my gosh.
Is there gonna be a drop in this ride? I don't like the tickle belly feeling sometimes.
I thought I was getting on the Pirates ride, but I don't know what this is.
You know, last time I rode that, I think I had to hold Sib's hand because I got scared.
It's a little tiny drops.
Yeah, it's not too bad now, but it gives me comfort.
Woo! You put your hands up. Woo! Ziggbee, do I look cool?
Yeah, you look awesome.
Woo! Look at it. Oh, they have their hands up too. Oops.
Who do-
The mummies.
I can't even raise mine. That's so rude, Sib.
Oh, what is that? That's not good.
Oh, yeah. This is
Oh, hello.
Oh, hi. They're pointing the way to the bathroom.
Are we going to like the Sea of the Dead or something? Spooky.
This is I was not listening to that lore.
Yeah. Is there gonna be jump scares? Whoa, there's lights above.
Well, the SWAT.
Oh my gosh, that's not good. What? What?
Use your weapon.
Well, I don't have my weapons.
I don't have weapons.
Whoa!
Are you okay back there?
Oh my gosh. It's a little laggy.
Let's make haste.
Okay.
There's gonna be a drop. No! Don't drop.
Oh no.
No.
What?
Oh my gosh. Oh jeez.
This is crazy.
Oh my.
I'm never going on Royal Caribbean again.
Snakes are back. Oh. Is our boat okay?
Stand down. Ancient One. You
Yes.
were once my trusted god.
Whoa. Oh, we're sinking?
Oh no.
Your hunger is an illusion of
I'm
time.
getting like 2 frames.
What? Me too. I don't know why.
This is trippy.
Very trippy.
Yeah.
You leave me no choice.
Supposedly it's the SWAT, I guess, where you have to like go through the serpents that guard the 12 hours of the night.
That's a thing? Uh-oh.
They're scary. Oh,
What? What is
Was that-
happening?
who threw that?
I assume that other deity.
Whoa!
A regretful
Oh my
outcome.
gosh. Whoa! Whoa!
What a drop! Woo! Oh my god, we're all over the place. Whoa, wait!
What?
Oh my gosh. Oh, we died?
No.
But it is not the end.
Oh.
No,
Whoa.
I saw. All I saw was Ziggbee getting thrown. You were yeeted.
It isn't? Whoa.
What is this place?
The gate awaits you, my
What?
child.
Here we go.
Though
Now
the
we're
Ancient
talking.
One might
Got some
return,
frames.
immortal it is after all. Make haste. What
what
you
is that up
seek
there?
lies ahead. I wish you safe travel. Farewell, my child.
Very well. So, but I think they put something in our Taco Bell. I'm tripping or something. What is that? Ooh. Spooky.
Exit.
I can't reach it. Can we stand up or something?
Here. You could just click it.
All right. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. That was.
Woo! All right, that was
Wait, can
what is
can Billy
this?
Where'd
touch
you
it?
guys get off?
There's a sign that's over
Whoa.
here. Oh, you got
What
it.
is this?
Oh, did I work?
Look at this. Oh.
I'm gonna go inside of it.
Wait. Don't. Wait, where? Where are you?
Are you hiding in the
Oh.
skirts of the?
Yeah.
Oh my-
Whoa.
All right, let's check up here.
Okay. Why am I walking so slow?
Oh, Ziggbee, you could probably get your camera
Oh,
now.
okay, let's see. I guess we're just. I don't know if we can still.
Still what?
Camera's still kind of a little bit laggy.
Really?
This place is like, I don't know what's. It's awesome, but not very performance friendly.
Whoa.
Do we get to keep it?
Whoa! There's the scraps. Hey, where'd Billy go?
Let's see.
Hold on.
Woo!
Okay, so we get the scrap, then what?
And we take it to the guy that did nothing.
Yeah, take it back to that.
Ooh. Well, that's a big door.
That's the real one.
Yeah. Woo!
And they lived happily ever after.
Actually, they didn't, Ziggbee.
Oh.
I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you.
No.
But,
What?
so I present to you one ancient scrab that we had to go through multiple dimensions for, and also it has some of my slobber.
Are you making secret deals with Solar?
Solar helped us out so much, Ziggbee. You don't even show any things. What is it called? I don't know. You don't show no things.
Okay, you can give it to Solar.
Gratitude.
You can give it to Solar?
There
Okay.
you go, Solar. Here you go. There you go. Take it. Just getting a quick lick.
Yeah.
But you know, the good news is actually there seems to be a second scrab over here
Oh, there is.
that we can use.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Solar, you get your scrab. We get
Wow.
this scrab.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's not the same one at all.
No, course not. This is
No.
yeah. This is the fake one. Let's see if they notice. Wait. Wait, where are we? Okay, I'm so confused.
Right
Never
here.
mind. I figured it out. All right. We good?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Great job.
Ooh. Yeah, I know. Good job.
That did something. Be on your
No
guard.
thanks to him.
Yeah. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Shaky.
That's was part of the deal.
What is that?
What is?
What was that?
Becoming worm food today.
Run!
Oh shit!
Run! Run!
Space will be bright and forever filled. Do not hesitate.
Oh my god.
A portal. Oh, private.
Oh my gosh.
Go through the portal! Let's go!
Wow! I got no frames! Go for
Oh
it!
no!
I can't see.
Oh my god!
Fuck yeah, dude!
Ziggbee! Come on, Ziggbee! Ziggbee!
I'm running.
Yes! Go! Ah!
We got no frames!
Oh,
Oh,
go in the portal.
jump!
That was close. We barely made it out.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry for running, but I don't think my wimpy pistol would have made any difference besides pissing off whatever that was. Even
Whoa,
more.
hey, come on.
Whoa.
Yeah, watch your language, jeez.
Language.
Wait, what's this?
Whoa, this is beautiful.
The last piece
Can I
of the puzzle.
Take it, or?
Oh, please.
Oh no.
Oh.
Whoa. Whoa!
Oh.
Okay.
Nice.
Dang.
Ooh.
Wow. Who made this?
Upgraded.
We found it.
That's
Would you
amazing.
look at that?
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Oh, would you look at that? It's beautiful.
Let's go.
We
Wow.
did it.
We did it. Oh, we did it. We did it. We're teamwork.
Where's he going?
Woo! Hey, where's he going?
Did it.
He's just leaving us?
Yeah.
Oh,
unbelievable.
jeez. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
He's running faster now than he was away from
Yeah.
whatever was happening.
I'm gonna get some gold. Look at these animals. Hello, animals.
Oh, whoa.
You know, who needs to go places when you have VR chat?
For real, this is really good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Can we jump in the water? Should I try?
Can you?
No.
Aw.
Oh.
No.
It looks like delicious water, though. It looks very pure.
He's stuck in place. Oh. Yeah, very pure.
You know, is that sarcasm, Billy?
What? No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh. He's just running towards the treasure.
He's gonna take it all for himself.
Yeah. Someone grab his gun quick. He's
Oh
gonna,
my God,
he's
Ziggbee.
gonna double cross us.
We made it.
That-
Look at this. Oh, this will be able to fund
Wow.
our research for the next 50 years. It seems like
50?
everything we went through
Only
was
50? You know how much this is probably worth? Are you?
Yeah.
Perhaps that was what
This is mine.
Billy?
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, I got stuck, man.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. I like
Yay!
this. Chest. All right.
It only took us 3 hours.
of the gods.
We only died 71 times?
No, 34. Right?
Oh, it's different for each person? Wait.
No, total death. All of us died 71 times.
individually.
Wait, I died 24?
I died 13.
Oh my god.
How many times did you die, Billy?
I'm sorry, I got number one. I died 34 times.
Wow, you the winner. You got the biggest
I'm the
number.
best dyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that ruby too. That ruby's mine too.
Hey, whoa, come on. Yeah, sure.
I'm taking these 2 pieces. They're beautiful.
Ooh,
Ziggbee,
what's that?
What?
you like my bracelets?
Oh my gosh! Look at you.
Whoa.
That's so much bling.
fancy.
Ooh, gold bar. Whoa!
Alright.
What's this?
Come on. We gotta get whatever his pack is in his pack, okay? I'm gonna come up behind him, and then you guys grab his pack.
I
Wait.
got a sword.
Joke's on you. We're pirates. Tie him up, boys. To be fair, he didn't help at all.
No, you did not.
No.
What is this over here? Oh, this is the makers, I guess. Let's see. Or is this the people that support it? Whoa. Finn's Works Interactive. Creator of the world. Art designs. You created all this by yourself? Or what? Jeez.
It's got, it must be like a FX person or something, because there's like, this is really good.
Yeah, this is really incredible.
It was awesome.
There's
Yeah.
blue. What are these blue gems? Can I take this too? Oh, there's so many beautiful gems.
So many.
I know.
Want them.
Pretty. What is this
Whoa, that's a
huge
big
thing? Whoa.
sword there, Sid. What do you do?
You gonna say?
Wow, that's very impressive.
Let me see the shield. It's as big as me.
Do
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Well,
you want a shield to go with it? Yeah, there you
yeah.
go. Perfect. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Here, I'll lock the camera.
Woo!
There we go. Do I look beautiful? Do I look beautiful? Do I look beautiful?
Yes, you're very beautiful, fabulous,
Thank you, Ziggbee.
absolutely
Have a
fabulous.
whole pillar.
It's a pillar of solid
trophy.
gold.
Dang.
Yes.
How could you even lift that? Wouldn't that be like incredibly heavy?
Well, it doesn't really weigh much. I'm holding it by 2 fingers.
So strong.
Oh my gosh. I guess just see chat too. I don't know what chat's doing. How you doing, chat? I can't believe some of you. Did some of you stay here this long? Let's see. I'm gonna pull up my menus. Oh my gosh. Next Ziggbee stream will be from their mansion. Buff Billy, says Paige Mustang. Werewolf Strength,
Thanks, Paige.
says Tammy Beans.
And hey, I didn't forget about you, okay? I got you this nice silver chalice. Okay,
Ooh.
pure silver. Okay, here you go. Take it.
So generous, Sim. It's silver, pure silver chalice.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pure
Yeah,
silver.
that's
You know,
pretty-
you might need to clean some of the tarnish, but it's good. It'll get you good at the pawn shop.
Soul says blue gem for small. Okay, I'll give you one of the blue gems.
that.
Okay, you got the blue gem. Here you go.
Grunty kicked the man that didn't help.
Okay.
Okay. Kick his shins.
And let me move my gems to the side here. Don't want them to get damaged or anything. Okay.
Bring the camera.
Oh. There we go. Bring the camera over.
Unbelievable. Stay. Why isn't he falling? He's immune.
Oh, curse is foiled.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that was a long stream.
The longest of streams.
Gosh.
I guess I'll put the camera right here for now. We can look into it if you want, but we can see the treasure in the background too.
It's beautiful.
I'm in gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for hanging out. I don't know how many of you stayed around for that long because that was a super long stream. We usually don't stream this long, but it was worth it because it was a really incredible place and experience. So yes, bite him. I think Billy was trying to actually. Thank you everybody for your support. I hope you had fun. Thank you for the subscriptions, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Werewolf Billy, for joining. I'm sorry it took so long to do all this stuff.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun. It was really fun being with you
It
guys.
was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make the camera. They can't see you. There we go. That's much better.
Can we do a hug?
Yeah. We can do a group hug.
Okay. All right. Well done. I'm all mixed up. All right. Hey, come on. Hey, that was a long adventure. Okay, so come on in.
Okay.
Squeeze in, everybody. Squeeze in. Get some hugs. All right. Come on, Billy. Don't be shy. Come here, Billy. Go squeeze in a little more. There we go. There you go. Thank you all for.
Am I too low?
No, you're perfect. Thank you all for joining us on this adventure.
Yeah. Thank you everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Awoo.
Oh,
Awoo.
Awoo.
Awoo. Egyptian awoo.
Beautiful.
Awoo. Egyptian awoo.
Egyptian woo.
Egyptian woo.
I guess we head out now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get out of here.
Okay.
Let's
I'm gonna zoom in this way.
I'll take, just take this.
Oh my gem! I gotta take the
and
gems. Where my gems at?
Take a
One.
ruby.
Ruby.
Where's my big?
Yeah.
I need the emerald. Where's the? Oh, this one. I'm gonna take this bigger one. This is bigger. I'm taking these ones. This is more.
Oh,
Taking a
Ziggbee
pot.
a little bit greedy. Okay.
I'm taking this old pot. Okay.
No, you need better than
It's a
that.
project. Okay. Fine. What's this?
I like the sparklies.
All right, here we go.
There we go. Whoa.
Ooh, that's
All right.
gems all over it.
Ziggbee,
Yeah.
lead us away.
Bye, everybody. We love you. Platonically, of
Love
course.
Tonic liquor. And good
Bye.
night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Ooh, Egyptian.